A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Suspense. And the producer of radio's outstanding theater of thrills, the master of mystery and adventure, William N. Robeson.
Mardi Gras, from the French, meaning Fat Tuesday, the day before Lent begins. Carnival, from the Latin, meaning goodbye to meat. And Bible, from the Greek, meaning book. Put them together and they spell terror. Terror for John Lund, as he plays The Man Who Stole the Bible, a tale well calculated to keep you in
Suspense.
I didn't mean to steal the Bible. That wasn't my intention. Why, I've never taken as much as a towel or an ashtray out of a hotel room. And if I'd known the night of terror it would lead me into, I'd never have taken it at all. Mardi Gras in New Orleans. A gay time, a lot of laughs, if you're in on it. But me, I was stuck in a stuffy hotel room waiting for a call from the boss. And the sound of all those people out in the street having fun got on my nerves. Operator. Operator. Oh, come on, operator.
This is the operator.
This is Mr. Cummings, room 302. What happened to that bellhop I sent for?
Would you speak a little louder, please? I can't hear you, sir.
I said this is Mr. Cummings.
One moment, please.
Operator. Operator.
Excuse it, please. What is it you wanted?
A bellhop. I want him to bring me something to read. Anything. He said half an hour ago he was on his way up.
Well, hasn't he answered your call yet, Mr. Cummings?
He has not.
I'm sorry, sir. The hotel is so crowded. The Mardi Gras, you know. It's almost impossible to... Just a moment, please.
Operator. Oh, nuts. I paced back and forth, wishing the boss would call me so I could get out of that room. I didn't dare leave, even to go down and get a paper. He's that kind of a guy. He expects you to be on tap all the time. There was no radio in the room and nothing to read. I went through all the drawers, hoping somebody had left behind a magazine or seed catalog, anything. And then I found it. The Bible. The Gideon Bible. For years I've seen him in hotel rooms, but I never paid any attention to him. But now I opened the book. 1 Samuel, chapter 19. I lay down on the bed and started to read. The knock surprised me. I'd forgotten about the bellhop. I got up to go to the door, and I realized I had the Bible in my hand. It's a fine thing when a man feels embarrassed caught reading the Bible, but that's how I felt, embarrassed. I stuffed it under the pillow and went to the door. Oh, you sure took your time. Oh, I thought it was the bellhop.
I'm the house detective. Sorry to disturb you.
That's all right. What's the matter?
Well, it seems that the woman who had this room before you lost her pocketbook. She thinks she left it here.
I'm sorry, there's no pocketbook here.
Well, I'd better take a look.
I'd have seen it if it was here. But come on in if you want.
Thanks.
See, there's no pocketbook here.
Yeah, but she's sure she left it here. I'll have to go through everything.
Well, there's nothing in there but my stuff. Do you have to go through...
What's the matter? Don't you want me to look for it?
No, it isn't that, but I've been through all those drawers already.
You'd be surprised at things people leave behind in hotels.
Yeah, I guess I would be.
Nobody else has been in here, have they?
No, nobody. I can't even get a bellhop in here.
You've been out of the room?
No. And look, I'm not responsible for anything that was left here.
No, of course you're not. Well, I'm sorry to bother you.
That's all right. Say, tell that bellhop to get up here, will you?
Yeah. I'll tell him. Good night.
Yeah, he was a strange guy. But then all house sticks are. I lay down again and went back to reading the Bible. Once I got used to the old-fashioned language, I found it pretty interesting. The story of David, anyway. A guy being chased by everybody and not knowing who his enemies were, every minute expecting to get killed. I was down to the part where David's wife puts a dummy in his bed as a decoy to save his life when I was interrupted again. This time, I automatically stuck the Bible under the pillow and went to the door.
Hello.
Oh, hello.
I wonder if you could help me.
Well,
I'm having a most awful time. I tried and it just won't work. The room's so stuffy.
How's that?
The window in my room, it won't open. Would you open it for me?
Oh, sure. Which room is it?
Right next to yours, just around this corner, room 300. You know, I have the same trouble on buses. The windows never open. It drives me mad. You can see how stuffy the room is.
This window?
Mm-hmm. Isn't that odd? It opened for you.
Yes, it did, and easy, too. And so does this one.
Can't understand it.
Are you sure you tried?
You don't think I'd come to your door and ask you to come over here if I didn't need something, do you?
It's been done.
Maybe, but I wouldn't know. Now that you're here, wouldn't you like to have a drink? Be a trouble, I mean.
No, I don't think I can.
You can watch the parade much better here than on your side of the building.
Oh, no, I can't.
What's the matter?
I'm sorry, I have to go. That's my phone.
Wait. Don't go. You can have the call transferred here. But it's silly to go all the way back to your room.
Hello, Cummings here. Oh, yes, sir. I've been waiting for your call. Now, listen, I covered the whole territory down here, and things look pretty healthy. You see, the main difficulty has been... I stared at my briefcase. I'd left it on the dresser. Now it was on the bed, and everything had been pulled out of it. The closet door was ajar, and the drawers in the bureau were open. My Gladstone apparently hadn't been touched, but everything else had. I heard the boss talking trends and business conditions, but my mind was on a girl who wanted a window open, a window that wasn't stuck, while somebody searched my room. Calmly, I finished my conversation and hung up. There was no reason now for me to stay in the room. I gathered up my stuff, and I took the Bible from under the pillow. Funny, I'd gotten interested in it. I wanted to go on reading it. So I stuck it in my top coat and walked out of the room. On my way to the elevator, I got a sudden impulse. I stopped in front of room 300 and knocked.
Who are you looking for, mister?
Oh, where's the lady?
Nobody in there now. Lady just checked out.
Well, that's impossible. I was just here.
I don't know anything about that, but she checked out a couple of minutes ago. See? Gotta clean it up after her right now. I'm gonna be glad when this Mardi Gras over. Everybody go crazy. Hotel go crazy. People check in, check out. Steal everything that ain't tied down.
Steal?
I said steal. That trade's fast, old soap. I wouldn't be surprised they'd take the beds next.
The Bible in my pocket suddenly felt like a pound of uranium. I wondered if the cleaning woman could read the guilt on my face, but she put her wastebasket down in the hall and went back in to clean the room. For a second, I considered taking the Bible back to room 302. Maybe I would have, if it hadn't been for the discarded book jacket in the wastebasket. It was gaudy, red and yellow. I grabbed it up, put it around the Bible. The title read, "You Will Die Tonight."
Call for Dr. McManus. Dr. McManus, please.
Good boy. Show this gentleman 506, please. Oh, are you checking out, Mr. Cummings? Let me see. You in room...
302.
302. Oh, my.
What's the matter?
I've had so much trouble over that room. I was supposed to hold it for a lady, but you can't keep rooms vacant during Mardi Gras. I gave her the room next to yours, but she kicked like crazy, the manager.
Next to me?
Yes, room number 300. She just checked out a few minutes ago.
I don't know what this is all about, but there's something peculiar going on in room 302.
Peculiar?
I didn't mind the house detective coming in to look for the purse, but I didn't like having my stuff searched while I was out of the room.
Searched?
Yeah, I said searched.
Now, you say the house detective did this?
He said the woman who had the room before me left her purse.
Oh,
and
but
then
that's impossible.
What do you mean?
A man had the room ahead of you. Oh, yeah, I'm positive of it. Just a minute, I got the register right here. A man, Mr. Gregory. Now, the house detective isn't on duty today, but when he comes in
Not
tomorrow...
on duty? Well, then what was he doing in my room?
Today?
Of course today, tonight. A tall guy with black hair.
Some mistake, Mr. Cummings. Our house detective, Mr. St. Clair, is short and bald. And he hadn't been in the hotel all day. He's homesick.
Well, it had all the makings of an interesting little intrigue. But I left the mystery of room 302 with the room clerk and went to the cigar stand. It was 8 o'clock. My train wouldn't leave until midnight.
Yes, sir. What'll it be? Cigarettes or cigars?
Cigars. 3 Coronas. Make it 6.
Always like to sell cigars. Men don't smoke cigars like they used to. Cigarettes, that's the fashion today. They give you a good cigar every time.
Somebody's having a good time.
Ooh, they all have a good time during the carnival.
Say, I wonder where I could check my bag and briefcase for a little while.
Want to see the parade?
Yeah, I thought I would. Mill around a little bit. I got a couple hours to kill.
Well, I'd be glad to keep it for you. I'm on duty till midnight.
Oh, would you? Say, that's mighty nice of you.
Don't mind at all. Mardi Gras is something to see. You shouldn't miss it. But you'll have more fun if you rent a costume. Hotels got them for rent, you know.
No, thanks. I'll go as I am. He stuck my stuff under his counter, and I elbowed my way across the crowded lobby to the street door. Through the glass, my eyes met the eyes of another man, the tall man with black hair, the man who had said he was the house detective. I swung the hotel door open. I had a few questions I wanted to ask that man, but he was swallowed up in the crowd. And then a big hand clapped me on the shoulder, and a voice boomed in my ear.
There you are, sinner.
I whirled around and looked into the mask of a laughing, red-faced devil.
Don't try to evade me, sinner. I've come to collect you with my nice, shiny pitchfork. And when the devil comes for you, your time is up.
All I could see in the mask was a pair of eyes. They were green eyes, and they were laughing. And the devil threw his arm around my shoulder and urged me along the street. I balked a little. I hadn't had anything to drink. The whole thing seemed kind of silly, but before I knew what happened, a clown grabbed my other arm.
Let's take the sinner to the fiery furnace.
And the two of them, the devil and the clown, were propelling me down the street toward a parked car.
Come along, sinner.
Hey, now, wait a minute.
The sinners are not push him in, the clown. Sinner!
Hey, you guys. Hey, let me out of here. Look, where are you going?
All right. Let's have it.
What?
The Bible. The Bible you took out of room 302.
The Bible? Say, you're not drunk.
Don't waste time on him. Frisk him.
Look, I don't know who you are.
He hasn't got it on him. What'd you do with it? Where is it?
I told you I haven't got it. Oh!
Just to let you know we're not playing. Now let's take it again, huh? Where's the Bible?
I tell you I haven't got it. I had it, but I guess I lost it.
Lost it? Where'd you lose it?
I don't know. Why, you...
Don't do that, sinner. It's just as easy for me to pull this trigger as to look at you.
But I'm telling you the truth. I haven't got it anymore.
All right, you haven't got it. But you'll tell me where it is, you understand, if I have to kill you to find out. What are you stopping for?
The crowd, I can't get through.
Come on, let's get moving. Get out of here.
What do you want me to do? Drive over him?
Come on, get out of here.
Bunch of rebels. Drunk and out for bear, opened the back door of the car and started climbing over it. Nothing would stop them from weaving through. They thought it was fun pushing and shoving each other. One of them fell, sprawled across the devil's lap, and they began to pile up. And suddenly, I knew that this was escape. I climbed out of the car. I ran blindly away from them. I saw a cab at an intersection. I ran out, opened the door, and there he was, in the back seat, the phony house detective. I slammed the cab door and bolted across the street. There was a policeman on the corner directing traffic. I ran up to him.
Hey, where do you think you're going?
They're trying to kill me. You've got to help me.
Kill you? Who's trying to kill you?
The devil. He's after me.
The devil?
Yes, and the clown, too.
And Mickey Mouse?
I mean it. I'm serious.
You're drunker than you look.
I haven't had a drink, I tell you. They're trying to kill me.
And why would they be doing that?
Because they want the Bible.
The Bible?
Yes, you see, I stole the Bible and... Here they come now.
Who?
The devil and the clown across the street. Look, you've got to get me out of it. You've got to stop them. They'll kill me.
Sure, now, take it easy, young fella.
There you are, sinner. Come on. What are you trying to do? Guessing trouble?
Sure, he's going to miss the party.
All a trick. Don't listen to him.
This young fella claims you're trying to kill him.
Me? Oh, not me. But if he doesn't get to the party pretty soon, his wife is going to kill him.
I haven't got a wife. There isn't any party. They're lying, I
Now,
tell
be
you.
good, boys. Move on. I got to keep this traffic moving.
All right, come on. You heard what the policeman said. Come
Please,
on,
officer,
sinner.
please.
Come on, sinner.
Go on me. Officer.
Beat it now. Go on with it.
I demand to be arrested.
Go on,
I demand
said
it.
now. Go on.
Oh, officer, you're a fool.
I'm a what? If it weren't for Mardi Gras, I'd run you in.
And you won't arrest me, huh? Okay. But remember, I didn't want to do this.
Dirty Yankee trick. Striking an officer. All right, young fellow, that does it. You're under arrest.
In just a moment, we will return to tonight's story of Suspense.
Henny Youngman, Orson Bean, and Myron McCormick of Broadway fame, and the internationally popular singer Caterina Valente will all be with you this evening when you hear The Mitch Miller Show. For star-studded variety entertainment at its sparkling best, join us every Sunday night when The Mitch Miller Show is on the air over most of these same stations.
And now, we continue with John Lund in The Man Who Stole the Bible, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
I sat in the drunk tank in the New Orleans jail and tried to figure it out. Who were the devil and the clown and the phony house detective? Why was the Bible so important that they would even kill me to get it? My bags were back at the cigar counter in the hotel. My train was scheduled to leave at midnight. But how was I going to get out of New Orleans? Already it was 10 o'clock, and as long as I stayed in jail, I'd be safe. But that didn't last long. I hadn't been there a half hour when a cop came for me and took me to the desk sergeant.
Here's your personal belongings, Cummings. You're released. You can go. But try to behave yourself. We're pretty busy tonight.
Released?
You know, you're a lucky guy. Culpepper decided not to press charges against you. You know what you could get for striking an officer.
But aren't you going to hold me?
Your fine's been paid. Now go and get out of here. Keep out of trouble, will you?
But I am in trouble. That's what I tried to tell the cop, but he wouldn't listen to me. I had to hit him. My fine? Somebody paid my fine?
Yeah, it's been paid.
But who? Who paid it?
I don't know who it was. He didn't give me a name. He just paid it.
Was it a man in a devil's costume?
Huh?
Or a clown?
Now, look.
What did he look like?
How do I know what he looked like? He was an ordinary-looking guy, tall, big, he had black hair.
The house detective.
The who?
They'll kill me, I tell you. They'll kill me.
Pardonnez-moi, monsieur. Je suis perdu. Je voudrais retrouver le convent. Les gens dans la rue m'empêchent.
I hadn't heard her come into the station. She moved so quietly. She was a nun, and she was talking excitedly in French. I wasn't paying much attention to her. I was thinking instead of my own problem. The house detective had paid my fine. He wanted me out of jail. He wanted me loose on the street. Why? And the devil and the clown. Were they with him? Were all of them waiting outside that door for me?
Please, sister, I wish I could help you, but I can't understand a word you're saying.
Monsieur, les gens dans la rue m'empêchent de trouver mon chemin. Ils me prennent pour un célébrant.
English. Can you speak English, sister?
Pardon, monsieur. Masquerade, costume. People think masquerade. No masquerade.
Huh?
I think she's trying to say the people on the streets think she's wearing a masquerade costume.
Ah, merci. Merci bien, monsieur. I am loose.
You mean lost?
Oui, monsieur, lost. I am expect at convent. The Vieux Carré.
The Vieux Carré, that's the French Quarter.
Exactement, oui. I drive for taxi cab. The crowd, you see, push me around. Voudriez-vous envoyer un gendarme pour m'assister?
What?
The gendarme. She wants you to send a policeman to help her get to the convent.
Oui, monsieur.
Oh. Well, I'm sorry, sister. I'd be glad to, but I don't have anybody in right now. If you don't mind sticking around here for a while, I'll be very...
Sticking around?
The sergeant says he's sorry. If you wait, there's no one available right now to help you. Wait a minute. The nun stood there, frightened and bewildered, out of place in the police station. But for me, it was a miraculous break. Why, sure, I could walk out of that police station with her. And if they were waiting outside, waiting to get me, why, I could walk right by them. They wouldn't dare touch me as long as I was with a nun. I could take her to the convent. And once there, I'd be safe.
Je suis désolé. Je ne sais que faire.
I'll take the sister to the convent, Sergeant.
It's okay with me if it's okay with her.
Ah, merci, monsieur. Merci mille fois.
As she walked out of the police station, I took her arm. To help her, yes, but also to steady my own fear. Any minute I expected to see one or all of them. The devil, the clown, the house detective. But they weren't in sight. There were people milling about in the street, but not the three I feared. And strangely, not finding them there frightened me more than ever. I found a cab and gave the driver the address of the convent. The nun and I didn't try to talk. I realized this whole thing was difficult for her, and I didn't feel like talking. Too much had happened to me for one night. The cab pulled up in front of an ancient building in the French Quarter, crumbling cement and wrought ironwork. We got out and I walked with her to the big front door. The nun raised her hand to the knocker, and I knew I'd been had.
Qu'est-ce qu'il y a?
Fingernails. Red, polished fingernails. You're not a nun.
Hey, where you been?
Hurry, boys, he's wide.
Come on, you. Get inside.
It was the devil and the clown. They yanked me into the house. And the girl, I stared at her. Back in the police station, I hadn't really looked at her face. Her black robes had spelled freedom to me. That's as far as I'd thought. But now I knew I'd seen her before. Only before she'd worn a green dress and a scarlet mouth to match her fingernails. And her hair had been blonde and long, and she wanted a window open. A window that wasn't stuck.
You've given us a lot of trouble.
I'm sorry, I don't know.
We've been very patient. Now we want the Bible.
I told you before, I don't have it.
You had it.
I had it, yes, I had it. I took it. I don't know why I took it, but I lost it.
Who sent you to get it?
I'll handle him. All right, who you working for? Poloni?
Look, there's some mistake. I'm a salesman. I sell washing machines.
You're lying.
Look, I tell you that...
Where's the stuff? Has Poloni got it?
What stuff? I don't know any Poloni. What are you slapping me around for? That won't get you any place.
Oh, won't it?
Let me talk to him. Look, if you're covering up for Poloni...
Who's Poloni? I don't know any Poloni.
Poloni wouldn't take a beating for you.
But I tell you, I don't know...
Whatever he's paying you, we'll pay him more.
We'll pay him nothing. He'll hand over that Bible or tell us where the junk is stashed, or try to help me, I'll kill him.
Dope. So that's what it is. Dope.
Yeah, Mr. Innocent. That's what it is. Dope. Heroin, cocaine, 100 grand worth.
Oh, stop it. You kill him, we'll never find it. Listen to me. What's your name?
Cummings.
You work for Poloni, Cummings. Nobody but Poloni knows about that Bible. You came to hijack the stuff.
I tell you, I don't know Poloni.
Ah, stop lying. Poloni knew our carrier was hot, that he had to drop the stuff somewhere in New Orleans.
You're wasting your time, baby. I'll make him talk.
Oh, don't.
You going to talk?
I don't
You
know.
want the butt of this gun right across your face?
Look, you've got to believe me. He hit me with the gun. I tried to keep my eyes open to hang on to consciousness. Across the room, I saw the door open, and in it stood a man with another gun, a big man with black hair, the phony house detective. Was his name Poloni? I didn't know how long I was out. When I came to, I was lying on a bed. My head was throbbing. My cheeks, my nose, every bone in my face seemed on fire. There was a cold cloth on my eyes. I tried to think. Why did I hurt so? Oh, yes. The Bible. They wanted the Bible. But I didn't have it. And it was a good thing, too. If I had it, they'd kill me. Then I smelled something. A strong cigar. It burned the inside of my nose. I rolled over to get away from it and opened my eyes. The devil and the clown were gone. And so was the girl. I was alone. With the phony house detective.
All right, let's not waste any more time. What did you do with the Bible?
Where are the others?
They've been taken care of. You took the Bible that belongs in this room. Now, what did you do with it?
This room? Oh, yeah.
Room 302.
You had no right to touch that Bible. Now think, what did you do with it? Where is it?
Look, I told them I must have lost it. I don't know.
I'll get it. Yeah?
The gentleman who left his suitcases with me. Mr. Cummins?
Suitcases? Come in. Who are you?
I run the cigar stand in the lobby. I saw you bring Mr. Cummins in, if you don't mind my saying so, quite tight.
Yeah.
I'm going off duty in a little while. I thought he'd need his things. See, he checked them with me.
Thanks.
Oh, almost forgot. Here's his book, too.
Oh, no, don't leave the book.
But you forgot it on the counter.
I don't want the book. You can have it.
I'll take the book.
No, don't give it to him.
Thanks for your trouble.
Don't mention it. Hope he feels better tomorrow.
Well, at last, the Bible. You will die tonight.
Look, Poloni, I didn't know. I swear, I just took it.
Poloni? I'm not Poloni. You know, that's a pretty clever stunt, covering the Bible with a whodunit jacket. Let's see, third book, second chapter, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, chapter 1, 2. Yeah. Here's the address of the warehouse where the stuff is.
I don't understand. If you're not Poloni, who are you?
John Stang, United States Treasury Department, Narcotics Division.
A T-man, but I thought
You made my job very difficult tonight, Mr. Cummings. We traced the narcotics carrier all the way from Hong Kong to New Orleans to room 302. But when we arrested him, he was clean. He didn't have the evidence. Room 302 was the link. The girl, Frenchie, was to take this room, and I would have followed her to where the evidence was stashed. It was as simple as that. But you stepped in and threw us all off.
Well, why didn't you tell me you were a government man when you came in tonight to look for the pocketbook?
How did I know that you weren't a new member of the mob? Now, take my advice, Mr. Cummings. Quit stealing things out of hotels.
Look, I never stole a thing in my life before. This is the first time.
There's one thing I can't figure out. Why did you steal a Bible?
Well, you're not going to believe this, but honest, I just wanted to finish a story.
Suspense. In which John Lund starred as The Man Who Stole the Bible by John Bagney and Gwen Bagney-Gielgud. Listen. Listen again next week when radio's outstanding theater of thrills brings you The Rim of Terror, starring Miss Barbara Whiting. A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. Suspense is produced and directed in Hollywood by William N. Robeson. Included in the cast of The Man Who Stole the Bible were June Foray, Joe DeSantis, Jay Novello, Joe Kearns, Larry Thor, Harry Bartell, and Jack Moyles. The original musical score was composed and conducted by Leith Stevens. Sound patterns by Tom Hanley and Bill James.
Even a cynic will have to admit that however bumbling a man may be, he has struggled valiantly to better his world. Our faults notwithstanding, our civilization is a vast improvement over primitive social arrangements. And perhaps most impressive of all of man's labors has been his consistent effort to protect the principles of justice as he has come to understand them over the years. How justice is served may vary from place to place and time to time, but always it is a thrilling demonstration of man's love of fair play. For examples of modern-day efforts on behalf of justice, be sure to hear Indictment over most of these same stations today. It's yours for the listening right after the news, which follows immediately on most of these same stations.
Suspense. And the producer of radio's outstanding theater of thrills, the master of mystery and adventure, William N. Robeson.
Everybody knows it is unwise to pick up hitchhikers. It is especially unwise if you are young and pretty and driving a very powerful foreign sports car. You run the risk of losing your money, your car, your life, and possibly your heart, depending on the hitchhiker. Listen. Listen to Miss Barbara Whiting, starring in The Rim of Terror, a tale well calculated to keep you in
Suspense.
I don't know why I gave him a lift. Even now, with the terror gone like a half-remembered nightmare, I can't be sure why I stopped my big Mercedes on that lonely road in Nevada and gave him a lift. Maybe because he looked so bedraggled standing there, headless in the rain, by the side of the road. Maybe because he smiled grimly, almost with a sneer that was a challenge. I don't know. Anyway, I slammed on the brakes and he walked slowly up to the car. Torkel, my big husky, stiffened on the seat beside me. Quiet, Torkel.
So you decided I don't look like too much of a risk, huh?
Not at all. Please get in. You look very wet.
As a matter of fact, I am very wet.
Back seat, Torkel.
Torkel, is it? How are you, Torkel? Well, it's quite a dog. I'll bet he could easily kill a man.
He's really quite well behaved, and he wouldn't attack without orders.
You have made yourself quite clear. Because this is an impressive machine.
I love it, but I'm really not used to it yet. I just got it last week.
You drive it very well.
Thank you, but I don't really.
Where are we now?
Well, I'd say about 25 miles east of Winnemucca. You're new to this part of the country?
Yes and no. I've never seen that view before.
It's breathtaking. So much different from back home.
Back home?
Vermont. This is the first time I've ever been in the West, and I love it. The scenery is...
Yeah, but this particular scenery doesn't appeal to me very much at the moment.
Why not?
I'd say that there's someone waiting for us down there. Look.
I looked. Far below on the valley floor was a fork in the road and an abandoned building. Near it was a black speck that looked like a wagon, and two smaller black specks that moved. Men, no doubt, though from here they looked like ants.
I'd suggest slowing down. Not much, though. I expect they are watching us through field glasses.
Who?
You let me out here.
What?
This cut hides us from them. Stop the car. Sorry, our ride together must end so soon. Don't be afraid. You have your dog sit on the front seat and keep him there until you are safe in Winnemucca.
I don't understand.
You know what a roadblock is?
A roadblock? Are the police after you?
Not the police of this country. You just tell them that you haven't seen me and they'll pass you on all right, huh? Goodbye. Thank you.
He turned and started climbing the steep bank at the side of the road. He stopped halfway to the top and impatiently motioned me to go on. I slipped the car into gear. I motioned Torkel into the front seat and started down the pass into the desert valley. A couple of miles further, at the forks, the road was blocked by a black delivery truck. I was almost tempted to swing around it, but the man in the plastic raincoat who held his hand up so casually didn't look dangerous at all. So I came to a stop. Another man in a black raincoat was leaning against the truck, trying to clean the mud from his shoes. Across the panel of the truck was a sign that read, Nevada Public Opinion Surveys, Carson City. I felt a little silly for feeling scared a moment before.
Howdy, miss. We're making a traffic check.
Yes?
You mind answering a few questions? Only take a minute.
What do you want to know?
Well, now, let's see. Where you from?
Vermont.
Vermont? Well, I declare. We don't get many tourists from Vermont. You come all this way all alone?
Well, I don't suppose you'd count my dog as a passenger.
Guess not. Although I always say a dog's a man's or a woman's best friend. Nobody else with you?
No.
Have you given any rides to hitchhikers?
No. Through the windshield, I saw the man in the black raincoat reach into the van. There was a smear of yellow paint on his raincoat, and the letters on the neat sign were blurred. It had been freshly painted, and the paint had rubbed off when he leaned against the sign a moment ago.
Well, even if you've given somebody just a short ride, we have to put it down. It's for the statistical average.
I'm sorry, but I've lost too much time already. I can't answer any more of your questions.
Let's quit stalling, Mr. Smith.
The man in the black raincoat was beside the car now, peering in over the interviewer's shoulder.
Somebody's been sitting in the seat next to Curlyhead there. You can see where the seat's wet.
Ma'am, you can see for yourself. You've had somebody sitting in that seat not very long ago.
My dog.
Your dog's dry as a bone, ma'am.
I'll search the trunk compartment. Maybe she's got him hid in there. Get her keys, will you?
Take your hand off the steering wheel.
Now, ma'am, just give me the keys.
Torkel? I had no idea the Mercedes had such power. It leaped forward under the accelerator. As I swung it around, flipping the front bumper of the delivery truck, skidding across the wet road, throwing a sheet of liquid mud over the two men. Through the rearview mirror, I could see them, running up the road after me, then stop and give up. I shifted into fourth and headed back up the mountain, 80 miles an hour. And then as I rounded the curve, there he was again, my passenger, laboriously clambering down the bank at the side of the road. He waved to me when he heard the car. And again, I don't know why I stopped. Maybe it was because he was limping now. Maybe because his figure looked so tiny and alone in all that vastness. Maybe it was because I remembered the cruel blue eyes of the red-haired interviewer behind his thick glasses. Anyway, again I stopped. Back seat, Torkel. Get in. I'm driving back to the main highway. I can take you into town that way.
I wouldn't have hailed you, only I twisted my ankle up there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What happened? Bruise your nerve?
I'm afraid I did. After they saw the damp mark your suit had made, and the man reached for the ignition keys, I guess I lost my nerve.
Where was the third man?
There wasn't one.
Well, he must have been hiding. Was one of them red-headed with glasses?
Yes. The other one called him Mr. Smith. What's this all about? Who are they? Who are you?
Well, I suppose I owe you some kind of an explanation. My driver's license and army discharge say that I am Peter Whittlesey of Elko, Nevada, but they are very excellent forgeries.
Forgery?
Well, yeah. You see, I was a spy.
What?
Yeah. I landed in San Francisco 3 days ago in the crew of a little Greek freighter. Mr. Smith met me, and his assignment was to get me from my ship to my new job.
Where? Los Alamos, New Mexico?
Naturally. I ducked in last night. Why are you stopping?
Get out.
Oh, no, how far can I walk on this foot?
Please, just get out.
When you picked me up, I was on my way to the police to give myself up. It's my only way to get away from them. You must believe me.
It sounds like a bad movie. Now get out.
But what about that bullet hole?
What bullet hole?
In the windshield?
What? I didn't see it before.
Oh, my friend, Mr. Smith, of course.
Suppose I didn't hear the gun over the sound of the motor.
Do you believe me now?
Maybe I do.
You see, when you have been sent on a mission into a country by the left arm, you are not supposed to change your mind and go over to the other side. They don't like it.
The left arm? What's that, a fifth column?
Well, I suppose you could call it that.
How come you speak English so well if you're a foreigner sent here by the left arm?
Foreigner? I was born right here in Nevada, and this is the only way I could get back home. Now, please, don't make me get out. Take me to the nearest police station, will you? Please?
I suppose it was my New England conscience, or maybe just plain old curiosity. Or maybe, well, he was attractive. On the twisting downgrade into Winnemucca, I learned his story. How he'd been born in Nevada of Central European immigrant parents. How he'd been taken back to their homeland when he was a little boy. And after the war, had been educated by the new regime as an undercover agent. How he had passed every test and resisted every temptation his teachers offered in his one desire to return home to America.
And believe me, America is home. I was born here. I want to live here, work here, and to die here.
Do you think the police will believe you?
I don't know. Do you?
I want to, but it's a pretty wild story.
But it is true, every word of it.
I know it is. I feel it is.
Thank you. And now, tell me a little bit about you, poor little rich girl.
Don't let this beautiful car fool you. I came into a little money a while ago, and, well, it's the only extravagance I've ever indulged in my life.
Well, I must say, when you decide to be extravagant, you don't do it by halves. There's the city hall. The police station must be there. You can drop me here on the corner, and you won't waste any time getting through town. Yeah. You know, I don't even know your name to thank you.
Elizabeth Whitehill.
I shall never forget it. Nor your face.
You're forgetting your coat.
Huh? Oh, thank you. My real name is Alex Peck. Well, I hope I shall see you again someday. Until then, you wish me luck?
I do, Alex.
Yeah. Goodbye. And thanks.
He turned and was gone, limping across the courthouse square, and I suddenly felt very much alone. I wanted to call after him, but of course I didn't. No, I slipped the Mercedes into gear and followed the main highway out of town. Ahead of me lay Seattle, and Charles. Good, safe Charles, who wanted to marry me. My little adventure was over, and I was glad. I kept telling myself I was glad while I munched on a sandwich in a roadside stand on the outskirts of town. I kept telling myself that I'd gotten off easy. But I kept thinking of those pale, vicious blue eyes of Mr. Smith, and the way Alex had slumped in fatigue like a very tired little boy. The sandwich lost its taste. I left it uneaten and started west once more for Highway 45 and the straight road across Idaho and Oregon for Seattle. And then a few miles further, Torkel nudged my arm. I glanced at him and slowed down. He had a wallet in his mouth, Alex's wallet. It must have dropped out of his coat as he left the car. He'd need it. It was part of the proof of his story. Without it, he might be delayed too long in that little police station in Winnemucca. But that really wasn't my problem. Let him worry about it. If I went back now, I would be involved forever and ever with this strange, dark young man whose tired face swam before my eyes. I swung into a side road, whipped into reverse, and straightened out on the road back to Winnemucca. There was no time to lose. I let the car out. 80, 90. I didn't know it had such speed. 100, 105 on one straight stretch. And then down to a cautious 55 as I entered the town limits, until I pulled up before the police station. Stay, Torkel.
Ma'am?
Are you the officer in charge here?
I'm Sergeant Helding.
I'm looking for Mr. Alexander Peck. I drove him here not more than half an hour ago. Mr. Peck left his papers in my car. I thought he might want them, so I brought them back.
He's gone, ma'am.
Gone?
Ma'am, you don't know how lucky you were. That fellow was a lunatic.
Lunatic?
Sure. His name is Peter Whittlesey from Elko. Nuttier than a fruitcake. He escaped from the Carson City Asylum last night. They came for him in a wagon.
A black panel truck?
That's right. Had Carson City State Asylum painted on the panel.
In fresh paint?
Pardon, ma'am?
Oh, you've made a dreadful mistake. That's the same truck that stopped me back at Indian Forks. It must be. You're one of the most stupid, incompetent ignoramuses that ever sent a man to be tortured. Yes, and perhaps murdered.
Now, ma'am, them's mighty hard words.
And I mean every one of them.
Now, ma'am, let's not have any sass out of you. You're too nice a gal to go around picking up strangers. Just run along now, ma'am. We're pretty busy here.
But you don't understand.
Understand you're wasting our time. Good day, ma'am.
Oh.
Just a minute, miss.
What?
That your car over there? That imported hot rod?
Yes.
Do you have any idea how fast you were going when you passed the airport?
Why,
I'll tell you. I was doing 90 on my motorcycle, and you walked right away from me. I've got a good mind to throw the book at you.
In just a moment, we will continue with Suspense.
On Sunday, December 16th, CBS Radio will recapitulate the news stories that impressed you most during 1956 on a special broadcast called The Big News of 56. In order to do so, we need your help. Please write us and let us know which of the year's developments had the biggest impact on you. Write to Big News of 56, care of CBS News, 485 Madison Avenue, New York, 22, New York. Do let us know as soon as possible so CBS News can know what you want to hear on the recreation of The Big News of 56 on Sunday, December 16th.
And now, we continue with Miss Barbara Whiting in The Rim of Terror, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
He was tall and capable-looking, this state trooper. He had a kind face, even if he was threatening to throw the book at me. So I told him the whole story, every bit of it, and he seemed to believe me.
All right, now look. That van can't go much faster than 50, 55. My bike can do close to 100. Now, we didn't run into the van coming into town from the north, so I guess it's traveling along the highway south to Reno or maybe to California. I can catch it and stop it, sure. So what? How do I know the guy isn't a lunatic and the van isn't on the level? I've got to have identification.
Why don't I follow you?
Yeah. If you can identify them as the men who stopped you and tried to shoot you, I got a case. I'll make them wish they'd never been born. Come on, let's go.
Once outside the city limits, the motorcycle leaped forward. I held the car at 60 until the officer was half a mile ahead of me. Then I accelerated to keep the distance constant. The tachometer crept up to 4,500, 5,000, 6,000 revolutions per minute. The cars we passed were silent blurs, respectfully pulling to one side at the scream of the motorcycle siren. Then, down the shimmering surface of the road, miles ahead of us, appeared a lurching black speck. It was the van. The trooper waved his arm for me to slow down and swung alongside the truck. It was like watching a jerky movie from a great distance. Suddenly, the motorcycle swerved away, and the trooper was firing his gun. The van lurched into the ditch. The motorcycle slid across the road, throwing the officer onto the pavement. The man in the black raincoat stepped down from the van and walked toward the fallen trooper, stopped, and fired his gun. And then the trooper raised his arm and fired. The man in the black coat fell forward, caught his balance, and then slumped to the ground like a puppet with a broken string. I slipped into gear and drove up to the truck. The man in the black raincoat was lying on his back, staring sightlessly at the sky, a little red hole in his forehead. The trooper was sprawled out on the shoulder of the road, a trickle of blood from his chest soaking into the sand. Another man was slumped against the wheel of the van. They were all dead. And neither of the two men from the truck was Mr. Smith. Neither had pinkish red hair. Mr. Smith wasn't there. Mr. Smith still lived to avenge and pursue. But somebody else in this silent scene of death was alive. Somebody inside the truck was scratching at the bolted door. I opened the back doors of the van. There he was. There, strapped in a straitjacket, was Alex. It wasn't until I'd untied him and had him safely out of the truck that I became faint.
It's all over. This part, at least. There's no reason to shiver, I'm sure.
I can't stop.
It's shot. Now, let's pick up the pieces. How did you get here?
I found your wallet.
Go on. Make yourself tall.
You dropped it into my car. I thought you'd need it at the police station.
Now, are you well enough to drive that machine of yours?
I think so. Where?
That depends on what happened to Mr. Smith.
Where is he?
I haven't the slightest idea, but he is looking for us. You can be sure of that. You've got to get away from here.
All right. I'm ready. Come on.
Wait a minute. What happened to you?
What do you mean?
That red stain on your jacket, is that blood?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
The cans of paint in the back of the truck. When you untied me, you must have spilled one. Take it off.
Why?
You want people to ask questions? Come on. Get in, start the motor, and give me that jacket.
What are you going to do?
Ditch it. There's a car coming now. Come on, let's go. Good. It's in a dip about a couple of miles back. They didn't see us.
My mother knit that jacket for me.
Good, then you know where you can have it replaced. Where are you headed?
We'll drive straight through to Seattle.
Seattle? Too far.
No, listen. My friend in Seattle, Charles Matthews. He'll know what to do. He has connections, even in Washington.
He may not be too willing to help me. Under the circumstances, I could hardly blame him.
Charles is bigger than that.
I wonder.
2 hours later, we were 120 miles near Seattle and filling the gas tank at a lonely motor court set in a clump of scraggly pines.
Thirsty bush you got there, ma'am. Took almost 20 gallons.
Yes, it was nearly empty.
That'll be $5.28.
Will you cash a traveler's check?
Sure will.
All right, just a... Alex.
What?
My traveler's checks. They were pinned inside my jacket. The jacket you threw away. We'll have to go back.
Do you have any idea what that piece of road would be like now? Half the population of Winnemucca driving out to see where that gun battle occurred.
But, Alex, that's all the money I have in the world.
You can stop payment on them. You can get your money back.
But now, right now, I've only got $1.75.
Now, let's see what I have in my pocket. Well, now, $2 silver. A lot of chicken feed. Yeah, we can make it with $half to spare. Here you are, young man.
Thank you. Come again.
How are we going to get to Seattle on 50 cents?
At the moment, I haven't the slightest idea.
This tank full of gasoline won't take us half the way.
You could phone your boyfriend, collect, tell him we are strapped, and ask him to wire you some money, huh?
I couldn't ask Charles for money.
Why not?
You wouldn't understand.
Well, if you don't want to ask him for money, don't. I'll figure out something.
Like robbing a bank?
Maybe.
With your training, that shouldn't be too difficult.
Perhaps.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was unkind of me. Why do you suppose we're bickering like this?
I haven't the slightest idea.
Haven't you?
No.
Neither have I. Payette, Idaho was the first big town. It was dark when we got there. Alex told me to pull up in front of the hotel.
You can get a room and a hot bath while you're putting in your call to Charles.
I can't get a room for 50 cents.
Look across the street. That's what I've been waiting for.
What?
A pawn shop. My watch should be good for a few dollars. It's Swiss. International currency, you know. Swiss watches. Now beat it. Get a bath. I'll take Torkel with me and call you in your room in half an hour. Come on, Torkel.
The hotel clerk showed me to a room on the second floor. It wasn't a very quiet room. On the corner beneath my window, the people of Payette were celebrating Old Timers' Day. They'd set up a kangaroo court and were trying their fellow townsmen who had failed to cooperate by refusing to raise beards and wear pioneer clothes. But I couldn't waste time watching the fun. I had to get through to Charles. I placed the call and started the bathwater running. When there was a knock on the door. Who is it?
Here are your towels, ma'am.
As I unbolted the door, I happened to glance into the bathroom. There on the rack above the tub, fluffy and white, were my towels. I tried to push the door shut, but it was too late. Mr. Smith shouldered into the room. I started to shout for help, but the sound never came. He hit me in the pit of the stomach with his fist, and I fell across the bed, gasping for breath, as the phone started to ring. I couldn't move. I couldn't make a sound. I lay there with the wind knocked out of me, watching Mr. Smith as he picked up the receiver.
Hello? How much delay? Well, just a minute. I'll ask my wife. She says to cancel the call. We'll try later, thank you. Now, young lady, no monkey business. You try to yell and I'll cut off your wind for good. You two, you and Peck, have caused me a deal of trouble. You shouldn't have done that.
How did you find it?
The left arm never fails. Where's Peck?
I don't know.
I'll wait for him here. He's sure to return for you.
I had to get to Alex. I had to warn him. The bathroom door was open. Smith was holding my arm. For a moment, he relaxed his grip. I swung away from him and threw myself into the bathroom, pulling the door shut and locking it. I expected him to shoot through the door, and I ran to the window, ready to jump. But it wasn't necessary. There was a rickety fire escape. I crawled through and ran down the shaky stairs, dropped 6 feet to the mud and ran around the corner of the building, toward the Old Timers Kangaroo Court on the corner. And there was Smith coming toward me through the crowd. He reached his hand out.
Well, sir,
I held around and shouldered my way through the crowd to the table where the announcer was sitting at his microphone.
Well, Mr. Tatum, just goes to show you don't raise a bid, you pay a fine. What's that fine, Judge?
$5. Suspended for the president of the bank. Well, Mr. Tatum, I tried to be easy on you, but the jury of your peers...
Please help me.
Oh, hello there, miss.
Give me your microphone.
Now, just a minute, miss. You can't interrupt the proceedings.
Please, it's a matter of life or death.
Well, now, just...
Alex, stay where you are. They found me. Again, Smith came for me. He and the big man with the beard. And then a tawny streak tore through the crowd. Torkel. He heard my voice. He ripped the big man's leg and jumped for Smith's throat. But before he reached it, the man with the beard pulled out a revolver.
What's going on here? What is that?
And Torkel lay there quiet.
Mad dog! Mad dog!
I tried to bend over him, but I knew it was no use. He was dead. And Smith had me now, holding me.
I told her that dog was sick.
Your dog?
Yes. To see her, you'd think my wife cared more for the dog than she did for me. I told her 12 times that dog was sick.
Let me go. I'm not your wife. Listen to me, please. You people. This man man is a spy, a monster. He's trying to kill me.
Listen to her. Go on, folks. Listen to her. Drunk. Dead drunk. Such a thing to say about your own husband. Now, I declare. Now, I'm going to take you on home to the ranch and put you to bed. You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Now, wait a minute there. Just a minute.
What?
Maybe you don't know, but I'm the county veterinarian, and you can't leave that dog dead in the street. According to law, we got to make an examination of any dog, dead or alive, suspected of rabies. Now, you get that dog in the police wagon.
But my wife...
I don't care about your wife. She wasn't bit. You say you own that dog? Well, your friend here was bit in the leg, and you was scratched on the arm. Now, you get that dog in the wagon, and you follow him.
Now, look here.
Now, you look here. That's the law. Now, get. Or do you want a little help from the rest of these good citizens?
Smith loosened his grip. I turned and edged through the crowd, which was moving in on him and the bearded drunk. I got to the fringe, to the open street, and ran toward the car. And there, coming toward me, was Alex, coming from the pawn shop. Alex alive. Oh, limping but alive. Alex, oh my dear.
Get in the car, quick.
Torkel, they killed Torkel.
Get in, you tell me about it later. You've got to get away from here.
Smith said he was a mad dog. They're holding him. They said he'd have to have a rabies test because he was bitten.
Good. We'll call the FBI from the next town. I've got enough for the watch to buy gas to get us to Seattle. Did you reach Charles?
No, Smith got into the room. He hit me.
No, you tell me about it later. Now, slow down. Here's the highway signs. San Francisco left. Ah, there we are. Seattle right turn. Hey, I said right.
You said San Francisco left.
Yes, but...
We're not going to Seattle.
Then what about Charles?
Who's Charles?
But I only got $20 for the watch.
I think I can get a little more for the car in San Francisco.
Hey.
Go to sleep, darling. You must be worn out. I don't know why I gave him a lift that day, but I'm awfully glad I did.
Suspense, in which Miss Barbara Whiting starred in The Rim of Terror, adapted for radio's outstanding theater of thrills by William N. Robeson, from the novel by Hildegard Teilheft. Listen. Listen again next week when we return with another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. Ben Wright supported Miss Whiting as Alex. Others in the cast included Joe DeSantis, Byron Kane, Junius Matthews, Tony Barrett, and Bill James. The original musical score was composed and conducted by Lynn Murray. Sound patterns by Ray Kemper and Gus Bays. Suspense is produced in Hollywood under the direction of William N. Robeson. Suspense. And the producer of radio's outstanding theater of thrills, the master of mystery and adventure, William N. Robeson.
Every year, thousands of short stories roll out from a multitude of typewriters and march across the pages of our magazines and books toward well-deserved oblivion. Few are memorable. Fewer still are classics. They pass the time and are forgotten even before the paper in which they are written is reduced to blackened ash. But occasionally a story is written that is a true classic, an unforgettable tale. Listen to such a one now, as Victor Jory stars in Ambrose Bierce's weird and wonderful story of the Civil War, An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
A man stood upon a railroad bridge in northern Alabama, looking down through the ties at the swift water 20 feet below. The man's hands were behind his back, the wrists bound with a cord. A rope closely encircled his neck. It was attached to a stout cross timber above his head, and the slack fell to the level of his knees. He watched a piece of dancing driftwood racing down the current beneath his feet. He thought,
if I could free my hands, I might throw off this noose and dive into the creek. If I swam underwater, I would be safe from their bullets. If my wind held out, I could make the southern bank, take to the woods, and get away home.
Peyton Farquhar, Alabama planter, stood at the end of a plank. The captain of the Union Army and a sergeant stood at the other end. When they stepped aside, the plank would tip upward, and Peyton Farquhar, Confederate spy, would slip between the ties to hang until dead above the muddy water of Owl Creek. Even in this far outpost of Sherman's march to the sea, the formalities of death are observed by men most familiar with him. The captain's company is drawn stiffly at attention along the tracks on the northern side of the bridge. The lieutenant stands stiffly on the bank of the stream, the point of his bared saber scraping the gravel of the road bed. Peyton Farquhar is being ushered into the Confederate beyond with every Union amenity. The captain steps aside. Now, only the weight of the bulky sergeant counterbalances Peyton Farquhar at the end of his thin board.
They say this is the moment when all the past events of your life tumble into your memory. But how could anyone know? Who has come back from the dead to tell us what dying is like? I don't recall any childhood memories. The past doesn't engulf me in this naked moment. I'm only aware of what is here now. Those damn Yankees lined up on the bank. The captain's tired eyes, that turkey buzzard circling up there waiting for me, and that noise, that beating, driving sound like a distant engine, a pump, the roll of thunder on a summer evening coming closer, getting louder, choking me. It's your heart, of course, that you hear, stepping up its cadence, pounding under the forced draft of fear. Now you can see nothing, remember nothing, sense nothing but the strangling, suffocating beat of your own heart, throbbing its final protest. You stand there, erect.
The work is nearly at an end now. The captain draws his sword, flourishes it to a carry, sings out a command. The men on the bank smartly spread their legs, thrust hands forward over their rifle barrels. The sergeant on the end of the plank takes one step to the left. The plank tips forward, and Peyton Farquhar drops between the timbers of Owl Creek Bridge.
It takes longer to tell it. As you drop downward, you lose consciousness. You are as one already dead. Then you awaken sharply in pain to feel, not to think, just to feel the cutting pressure on your throat, the agonies of pulsating fire shooting from your neck downward, to feel the fullness, the congestion, the head bursting with suffocation. Distantly, beyond, outside of yourself, you hear a splash. Remotely, you sense cool, wet, green darkness. The rope has broken. You have fallen into the stream. Now thinking returns, slowly. You know for the moment you are safe from drowning because the rope around your neck tightly keeps the water from your lungs. Then I shall die of hanging at the bottom of a river, and that's absurd. If I can get my hands free... Gotta get my hands free. Come, Peyton, they can't lick you. Try again. Once more. Good boy, the rope's given. Again. Try once more. That does it, my boy. Now, the rope around your neck. You must breathe when you come to the service. You must breathe quickly. For if they haven't hanged you and they fail to drown you, can't let them shoot you. Loosen the rope around your neck. You must get it loose. Now.
There he is! Down there! At the bend!
You dive deeply, but above the ringing in your ears, the melody of rifles. And as you rise toward the surface, you meet shining bits of metal, singularly flattened, the distorted and spent bullets oscillating slowly downward past you. One catches in your collar, and it feels uncomfortably warm. You snatch it out, and this gray piece of Yankee lead reminds you of the gray uniform of the soldier who was responsible for your being here. You recall that it was only night before last when the soldier had ridden up to the driveway as you and your wife sat under the magnolia trees in the cool twilight.
Evening, sir.
Good evening, Corporal.
I wonder if I might trouble you for a glass of water, sir?
Well, of course,
Don't disturb yourself, Peyton. I'll go fetch him.
Well, you're most kind, ma'am. If you just indicate the well.
Oh, nonsense. You just sit a spell with my husband. You look as if you could do with some rest.
Yes, ma'am. I reckon I could.
I'll be back in a jiffy.
Thank you, ma'am.
Whose command are you with, Corporal?
Colonel Tolliver, sir. 13th North Carolina.
We get a little news down here. How are things going at the front?
Oh, not good, sir. The damn Yankees are getting ready for another advance. They're repairing the railroad. Got it in shape, almost to Owl Creek Bridge. And they got an outpost there. Once they can run trains beyond the bridge, there's nothing to stop them between here and Atlanta.
Then why hasn't the bridge been destroyed?
The military couldn't get near it, sir. A civilian might.
Owl Creek Bridge. That's not far from here, is it?
Less than 20 miles.
You say they have an outpost there? On which side?
T'other side. Nothing on this side but a couple of pickets half-mile out on the railroad. And a single sentinel at this end of the bridge.
And that bridge is important.
Sure is.
What if it were destroyed?
Hold up the Yankees for several weeks.
Well, suppose a man, a civilian like myself, should elude the picket post and get the better of the sentinel. What could he accomplish?
Well, I was there a week ago, just before we had to pull out. There's a heap of driftwood come down in last winter's flood, caught on the trestle at this end. Looked mighty dry and tindery to me.
I see.
A fellow with enough gumption might get through and set fire to it. Ought to burn like tow.
Yes, it should.
Of course, fellow'd have to have plenty of gumption. The Union commanders promised to hang any civilian caught fooling around the railroad.
Here's your water, Corporal.
Oh, I thank you kindly, ma'am.
Right out of the spring house.
That's cool and nice.
And here's a packet of cornbread. I thought you might be hungry.
Mighty grateful, ma'am. It's ladies like you that keeps the South together and fighting these days.
Oh, what a pretty compliment.
Well, reckon I better hit the leather. I got a lot of riding ahead of me tonight.
Good luck to you, Corporal, and thank you for the information.
You'd be taking a chance, sir, but you couldn't do a greater service for your country.
Now, remember that, Corporal.
Bye, ma'am.
Goodbye, Corporal.
Bye, sir. Anytime.
Goodbye.
Peyton, what was he talking about?
What, my dear?
With a corporal. What do you mean by service to your country and taking a chance?
Oh, nothing.
Peyton, tell me.
It was nothing, really, my dear.
Peyton Farquhar, if you're fixing to take any chances for our country, I want to know about it. Now, you just speak your piece.
There's nothing to say except I should be going away for a day or two on a little trip.
Is it dangerous, Peyton?
Not very.
You'll be back.
Yes, my dear, I promise you. I'll be back. Break the surface of Owl Creek for a second time. And now you are much further downstream, further away from the Union soldiers on the bridge, reloading their guns, the ramrods flashing in the morning sun. That captain won't make the same mistake again. He'll order them to fire at will, and heaven help me, I can't dodge him all. Another, more terrible sound, cannon. They've trained cannon on you. And close. Next time they use a charge of grape. Rifles and grape covering the water from bank to bank. I'm done for then. Then something seems to grab you and you're whirled round and round, spinning like a waterlogged top. You're caught in a vortex, a whirlpool. The water, the banks, the distant bridge, the soldiers become indistinct blurs. And again you're helpless. You feel dizzy and sick to your stomach. Just as you felt last night when you crept up the bank towards the lone sentinel at the south end of the bridge and discovered the sentinel was not alone.
There he is, boys. Grab him.
Got him, Sergeant.
Well, Mr. Peyton Farquhar, we've been expecting you.
How'd you know, my...
We got ways.
Look here, I'm a civilian. I was...
Save your breath. And thank your maker we didn't shoot you in the back. We don't do things like that up north. You'll get a trial, everything fair and square. Bring him along, men.
The whirlpool spins faster and faster. A sharp piece of driftwood tears at your coat. The churning brown water chokes you. You know there is nothing you can do as you had known it last night when they shoved you into a tent near the bridge to face the infantry captain with the tired eyes.
Here he is, sir, right on schedule.
Good work, Sergeant. This the man, Lieutenant?
That's him.
Why, you're the corporal who stopped at my plantation last night.
That is right, Mr. Farquhar. But not of the 13th North Carolina Volunteers.
Mr. Farquhar, this is Lieutenant Saltonstall, intelligence officer, 5th Massachusetts Regulars.
You trapped me. You deliberately led me into a trap. I'm a civilian, a planter.
And also a Southern patriot, caught in the act of sabotage.
You can't prove it.
We don't have to.
This is the most despicable, the most... It proves once more that honor is a stranger in the North.
Oh, please, I'm too tired to listen to a recital of the code of the Southern gentleman, Mr. Farquhar. I'm afraid the distinction between your ethics and my lack of them would escape me this evening.
But why have you done this? Why have you deliberately trapped me?
It's so much easier to eliminate civilian resistance by luring it into the open. You fell for the bait. Too bad.
Now, look here. It is my constitutional right.
Which Constitution? The Constitution of the United States of America or Jeff Davis's?
You insult me, Yankee.
Remember your manners, sir.
I demand a trial.
You've just had it. Post a guard over him, Sergeant.
Yes, sir.
We'll hang him in the morning.
In just a moment, we continue with Suspense.
In mid-December, we're planning to present a program of the big news of 1956. This year, though, we want you to help choose which news events our ace reporters will recreate for you. We want your opinion on what you consider to be the top 10 news stories of the year. Start thinking back. On the international scene, there were conflicts in the Middle East, Poland, and Hungary, as well as the controversy over Secretary of State Dulles' statement that we were at the brink of war. Here at home, President Eisenhower won a decisive victory at the polls, but lost Congress to the Democrats. Pick your top 10. Then send your choices to The Big News in care of CBS News, 485 Madison Avenue, New York 22. That's The Big News in care of CBS News, 485 Madison Avenue, New York 22.
And now, we continue with Victor Jory in An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Something tears at your face, scratching, and you realize the whirling has stopped. You open your eyes. You're lying on the southern bank of a stream, out of sight of your enemies, safe. The gravel which has scratched your cheek now seems soft as new-picked cotton. The forest around you is a garden of luscious beauty reeking with heavy perfume of freedom. Even the whiz and rattle of the final charge of grapes screaming through the treetops seems a benediction from the baffled cannoneer. You leap to your feet and run into the woods south towards home. Your neck is swollen and throbbing with pain. You carry it cocked toward your left shoulder as you push through the matted brush. All morning, you tear your way through the undergrowth. Your jacket is in tatters, your face crisscrossed with bloody scratches from the brambles. Every few moments you stop to listen for the sound of dogs. But all you hear is the sleepy buzz of the forest. And the blood throbbing through your heated brain brings another thought, which is an insult. No dogs. You are not even important enough to the damn Yankees for dogs. nearly noon now, and for half an hour you've been plunging through a swamp waist deep in green ooze. Your neck hurts constantly, your head throbs, and your tongue is thick. It tastes like brown linsey woolsey. Gnats swarm before your eyes, catch in your eyelids. Mosquitoes buzz in your ears, drill deep in your hands and swollen neck. You can't go on any longer. You slow down. You stop. You reach towards a palmetto root for support, and it slithers from your grasp and slides softly into the water. Water moccasin. Fear finds you at last. Terror, which stood aloof when you fled the executioner's bullets, now embraces you with a clammy unction. A water moccasin, the deadly cottonmouth. Now each branch and root seems to writhe under your glance. The swamp is undulating with certain death. You plunge on through the dark, stinking ooze, on and on, tripping, stumbling, never stopping. For terror rides your back, flogging you with a whiplash of fear.
Jethro gonna have Moss Farquhar fit as a fiddle in jig time. Now you just drink this here yob tea, Moss Farquhar.
Thank you. Thank you. Jethro.
Y'all's a Moss Farquhar.
What are you doing here?
Well, I lives here.
You live... Where am I? What happened?
Well, I was a-poling my dugout and coming home through the swamp with a mess of catfish. I seed you laying out there on the bank in front of my cabin.
Jethro, I thought you were dead.
Who, me? Dead?
Of course you thought Jethro dead. You knew he had consumption when you sold him. You knew he couldn't last long and he wasn't earning his keep. His wife and daughter carried on some at first, but after a while they calmed down, and the last you'd heard, Jethro was dead.
You thought I was dead, Moss Farquhar? Sir, you don't mean to tell me you don't know what done happened to me? I'm free. I'm free at last.
The news travels fast. Even in the middle of this backwoods swamp, this lonely black man has heard of Abe Lincoln's traitorous Emancipation Proclamation.
Yes, sir, I'm free. And I expect pretty soon my woman and my little girl gonna come along and join me. How is them, Moss Farquhar? Is they well?
Yes, indeed. They're both fine. Your daughter's grown into a young beauty. Mrs. Farquhar's brought her into the kitchen and began to train her for the house.
Well. Now, what you think of that? And my woman? She still sang pretty?
Yes, Jethro. Sunday's a meeting time. We can hear all the way up to the big house.
That woman's voice. It's prettier than angels.
Jethro, I don't know how to say this, but I was really sorry about having to sell you. But there wasn't anything else.
I understand, Moss Farquhar. Don't you pay it no mind. I done forgive you a long time ago.
You have?
Well, sure. Don't the Lord tell us to forgive those who trespass against us? And don't the Lord promise us we shall be free? Don't you worry none about it, Moss Farquhar. Yeah, quiet there, Spot. Quiet, sugar. They must have heard a razorback in the brush. No, it ain't no hog. Look, Moss Farquhar, there's a horse coming down the back road. Why, it's a soldier. It's one of our soldiers. Corporal, looks like.
Jethro, you've got to hide me.
How come I got to hide you, Moss Farquhar?
Don't ask so many questions, you insolent black...
Moss Farquhar, forget. I was free now.
Well, then, as an old friend of mine, please don't ask any questions. Just hide me. And don't tell that soldier anything.
Sure, I reckon I can do that for an old friend. Here, you get down under this bed here, and I'll put the covers over the side. Yeah, there he is. Snug as a tick in a rabbit's ear.
Remember, don't tell him anything. Have you come this far just to be turned in by a wool-gathering black who talks crazy? If Jethro knew this gray-clad corporal was really a Union lieutenant, he'd guarantee his freedom by turning you in. Even so, he bears you a big enough grudge to turn you in anyway. Unless, of course, he's planning to dispose of you himself. Yes, that's it. That's why he talks so silly about the Lord and forgiveness. He's going to do you in himself.
Norton? Never heard of him.
Well, if you run into him, don't tell him I was looking for him.
Yes, sir. I remember not telling.
Just keep minding your own business, Uncle. You'll live longer.
Yeah. You can come on out now, Mas Farquhar. Lord, I declare I don't understand none of this. You says not to tell him you's here. He says not to tell you been here. What's this here all about, Mas Farquhar?
It's nothing, Jethro, nothing. I owe this man some money. I'm not ready to pay it yet.
Oh, I see. Well, I wouldn't know about that. Money's something never bothered me like it bothers some.
What?
Me and money's always been strangers.
What's the mean by that? Money never bothered me like it's bothered some. What's he picking up that knife for? Jethro, what are you going to do with that knife?
Oh, I was just fixing to slit up some of them catfish I got in the dugout. Looked like you could do with a little food, Mas Farquhar.
Oh, no, thank you, Jethro. I really got to be on my way. I want to get home by sundown if I can.
Sure wouldn't be no bother to cut up a couple of cats.
No, thank you, old friend. If you just tell me which way I should go to get home.
Well, I don't rightly know, Mas Farquhar. I reckon from the way the sun's reclining, it'd be down the road that way, quite a fur piece down.
Yes, that should be about right.
I've never been back, you know. Never tried to go back since I've been free.
Yes, I know.
Reckon it won't be long till my woman and my little one comes here to me.
Of course.
If you get back, Mas Farquhar, if you sees them, you tell them I'm here waiting for them.
I'll
do
that, Jethro. I'll do that. You get away from there fast. The shells of the black road crunching under your muddy boots. That grinning savage standing in the doorway of the shack, the knife in his hands. And each moment until the road bends and cuts off the cabin from your view, your fury will come after you, the knife poised to plunge in your back, to pay you for the thrust you gave him when you sent him away to die. But he's still standing, grinning foolishly and waving as you turn the bend. Now you feel safe. But only for a moment. And then you hear a sound, the sound of a horse. The corporal in gray from the Massachusetts 5th Regulars. He's coming back down the road, searching for you, hounding you, coming to take you back to Owl Creek Bridge, back to the rope that won't break under your weight. You walk faster and faster, and always the sound is there, growing louder and louder, and you run as fast as you can down the shell road which stretches clear to the horizon between the green walls of scrubby pines. How long have you been running down this endless road? It's dark now. Is it night? Or has the blood trapped in your head by that suffocating rope at last burst into your congested eyeballs and blinded you? Will it next pour from your swollen and bruised neck into your brain, stopping all sensation, instantly bringing to a welcome end this day of agony and flight? Ridiculous fantasies of fatigue and fear. You can see. The darkness is the black of a sudden summer storm. That lightning flash clearly shows the white road ahead and the black silhouettes of trees along the sides. And since you are sure you can see, the other senses return. You hear the rumble of the thunder. You feel that insupportable ache of your straining lungs, the leaden weight of your tired feet, and now the patter of rain. First washing the stinging sweat from your scratched and bitten face, now pounding harder, flowing down across your hatless head, matting your hair, slowing down your headlong gait to a dog trot. Another flash of lightning directly overhead. For an instant, you see the soldiers of Owl Creek Bridge standing at the side of the road, rifles leveled, their eyes boring down the sights, aiming at your heart. Again, you're running, and the rain has turned to hail. Pellets as big as hominy grits beat down on you, pound your swollen, bruised neck, hammer at your countless cuts. Again, the lightning, and on the other side of the road, the great-clad corporal sits astride his horse, waiting for you. No, you can't get me now. No! This bolt of lightning strikes a tree ahead of you, and in the white, blinding light stands Jethro, black and grinning, knife raised in the air. No, Jethro, forgive me. He's gone, and now you see dangling from each tree along the road a noose swinging in the wind. Wherever you turn, wherever you look, a noose waiting for you. A noose which wiggles like a water moccasin. Now you are standing on the green lawn of your plantation before the high-columned entrance. The storm is over. The clouds are black and menacing all around the horizon, but through a break overhead, glorious sunlight streams down, bathing your garden and your house in heavenly light. You are home. And now you hear a rustle of crinoline, and down from the wide portico steps your beloved wife. She walks across the lawn, her arms outstretched.
Just as you promised you'd be.
For this moment you have endured the agonies of this day. And were those agonies multiplied 1,000 times, they would be a small price for the benison of this breast, the sanctuary of these arms, the security of these lips. You step forward to fold your wife in your embrace. The rope, stretched tight, sang like a bowstring. Peyton Farquhar was dead. His body with a broken neck swung gently from side to side beneath the timbers of Owl Creek Bridge.
Suspense, in which Victor Jory starred in An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge, adapted by William N. Robeson from the classic story of Ambrose Bierce. Listen. Listen again next week when we return with Howard Duff in Eyewitness, a brutal tale of prison mutiny, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. Supporting Mr. Jory in Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge were Larry Thor, Lou Merrill, Jack Crucian, Chet Stratton, Julie Bennett, and Roy Glenn. Sound patterns by Tom Hanley and Bill James. The orchestra was under the direction of Wilbur Hatch.
There always seems to be a certain number of people who would rather use all their cunning to figure out a way to steal the Mona Lisa than do one lick of honest work. These characters call for even more wit and cunning on the part of the police and federal agents if their schemes are to be foiled. A CBS radio show that brings you a fascinating picture of this thrilling counterplay is that perennial favorite, The FBI in Peace and War, heard every Sunday over most of these same stations. Enjoy another exciting drama of wit outmatching wit on The FBI in Peace and War a little later in the day today. Stay tuned for 5 minutes of CBS News to be followed over most of these same stations by Indictment.
Suspense. And the producer of radio's outstanding theater of thrills, the master of mystery and adventure, William N. Robeson.
What you're about to hear is more than the lurid figments of this writer's imagination. It has happened in the prisons of Michigan and New Jersey, Massachusetts and Colorado, and elsewhere, when desperate men oppressed beyond endurance turn upon their tormentors. Not a prison break, not a prison riot, but a prison mutiny. Listen now as Howard Duff stars in Eyewitness, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
All you want is the background for an article in the state's prison. The managing editor has assigned you because you've never been inside a penitentiary before. Fresh point of view and so on. But you get the distinct feeling that you're an unwelcome visitor here. The warden makes one thing plain.
Of course, anything you may write about the institution will have to be cleared through me.
And outside the main gate, your guide, the captain of the yard, comes up with a charming thought.
Inside there, you may see somebody you know, or there may be somebody who knows you. They may try to speak to you. If they do, don't answer them, and don't speak to anyone. Don't give anything, don't take anything. Everybody's better off that way.
Well, I don't want to seem facetious, but I doubt if any friends of mine are in there.
You never know, Mr. Kelly. You never know.
And as the guard turns the key and you step inside the prison, you feel that you are a prisoner. You feel you will never walk back through that door alive. The door opens, and you are inside.
This here's the yard, Mr. Kelly.
The yard. Men. Hundreds of men. sitting in groups talking, standing in groups talking. A great beast in blue. Each man dressed alike in faded blue dungarees, blue shirt, and blue denim jacket. These are the disenfranchised, the men without names, without citizenship. You step ahead of the captain, and he grabs your arm, and his fingers go deep.
On the sidewalk, Mr. Kelly.
Oh?
Yeah. Sidewalk's out of bounds.
The inmates?
Yeah.
Why?
We gotta have a way to get around, too.
Well, why can't we just walk through?
You want to get yourself killed, okay, but not when I'm responsible for you.
Then you notice something. As you walk along the side of the yard, they're casing you. The men in the group standing, squatting, sitting, notice you first, and then the captain, and immediately turn their backs. It's a subtle choreography of a faded blue ballet. A flick of the eyes, a turn of the head, and as you pass, a solid phalanx of backs. Blue denim backs. But the faces before they turn, they're the faces of men, not convicts. The faces of the boy in the bakery truck, the teller in the bank, the checker in the supermarket, and that old one, a lifer probably, might be the face of your father. And you shudder a little, and you think, the difference between them and you is that they got caught. Captain Wolf shows you the dining hall, where dinner begins at 3:30 in the afternoon, in order that 5,500 convicts, eating in shifts, can finish their evening meal by 6:30. He shows you condemned row. He shows you the death house. A feeling of suffocation grows on you. The pall of prison begins to shroud you. You've had it, and you want to walk out of those gates as fast as you can, because you can. Well, it's been a very interesting tour, Captain. Now I think...
Wait a minute before you go, Mr. Kelly. Here's something you ought to see.
What's that?
The old block, that building right ahead. Built more than 100 years ago.
Oh?
That's where we keep the bad ones.
Bad ones?
Yeah, in solitary. The tough guys, the deviates. It softens them up fast. Most of them.
The old block. A fortress prison. And the date chiseled in its keystone. A.D. 1847. A reminder that it was built when prisons were intended only to punish, never to correct.
This'll take only a minute, and you ought to see it. Ain't changed much in over 100 years, I can tell you.
You stop in front of the heavy steel door, but no guard peers through the bulletproof glass peephole. The door is not instantly unlocked like the others had been.
All right, both of you. Stand where you are.
Say, what is this?
You're referring to what you feel in the middle of your back. It was once a file from the machine shop, now it's a shiv. And if you make one move, Wolf, I'll drive it straight through your gut. Frisk him, Joe.
Yep. Here's a sap.
Good.
This gun.
Good, we can use him.
Now, this one's clean. He's an outsider.
You can't get away with this.
We can't. We have. I'm happy to report, Captain Wolf, that the old cell block is completely controlled by its 32 inmates, with the 4 guards and the captain himself as hostages, not to mention an anonymous outsider.
Now, listen, you're asking for trouble. Mr. Kelly here is from the Capital News Telegram.
Oh, a journalist. Well, I couldn't ask for a better guest. I think, Mr. Kelly, you'll serve us better than even the warden could. I trust we didn't tear your jacket when we were forced to stick you a moment ago, Mr. Kelly.
I don't think so.
I hope not. The name, Mr. Kelly, is J. Conrad Allen. That's spelled with 1 L, Mr. Kelly. Whether I end up a live lifer or a dead hero, be sure, Mr. Kelly, to spell it with 1 L.
Hey, Connie,
don't call me Con. The name is Conrad.
I'm sorry, Conrad. What do you want me to do with these 2? Lock them up with the guards?
Oh, not yet. I'll need Captain Wolf's cooperation.
You won't get it.
Would you like to bet on that?
Well...
How about you, Mr. Kelly? Are you going to cooperate?
Well, I don't know.
We'll see. All right, men, listen to me. Now, look, here's where we stand. We got Limpy to thank for this. He pretended to be sick and got that greenhorn guard to open his cell. He conked the guard, locked him in his cell, and let Big Joe and me out. We took care of the rest of the guards. They're all locked up in cell number 3. All right, quiet. Wait a minute. That's not all. Just after we got them locked up, who should walk in but our old friend, the captain of the yard, Lord Tub Wolf. I'm next. We also have another guest, Mr. Kelly of the Capital News Telegram.
An outsider.
He ain't no good to us.
Well, don't be too sure about that. Now, there are 32 of us, and we have the guards 4 guns. Now, let's handle this thing in a democratic fashion. Well, what do you want to do next?
Let's break out of here.
Wait a minute. Break out, Tony? How far would we get? As far as the yard, do you think? All the way to the slot? With gun guards in every tower? Do you think our 4 rods would get us very far?
Yeah, he's right, Tony. We can't break out of here. We can't get anywhere.
I say let's get back in our cells and spring the guards. We're only asking for more trouble this way.
You wouldn't figure that way, Pop. From your point of view, you're right. You aren't going anywhere. You're in here for life.
All right, then let's go. Let's make a break for it. Come on.
No, that won't work. But I'll tell you what will. The 3 guards, Lard Tub Wolf, and Mr. Kelly will work for us.
I don't get it.
What are you driving at, Con?
Don't call me Con. I'm sorry, Conrad. We're going to get plenty out of this. We're going to get a square deal. We're going to get better food. We're going to get bars on those cells instead of solid doors. We're going to get rid of straitjackets and leg irons in the dungeon. Oh, we're going to get a lot of things out of this.
How are we going to get all that?
You just stick with me. I'll show you. First, they don't know anything's happened yet. So, let's tell them. Come on, get on the telephone, Captain Wolf, and call the warden.
I will, like...
What do you say?
It is sharp, ain't it, Lard?
Come on, get on the phone. Tell the warden where you are and what's happened. Tell him to send over our supper just the same and to wait for further instructions. Here. All right, I'll dial it. Here now. Talk.
Warden speaking.
Warden, this is Captain Wolf.
Yes, Wolf?
I'm talking from the old cell block. The Cons have taken it over.
What?
They got me and McGuire and that new kid and Feeney. Yeah, Mr. Kelly. Warden, if I was you,
I'm giving out the advice around here. Give me that phone. And stop whimpering, Joe. He stuck you a little bit. Lock him up in 3-cell, Joe.
Okay, Conrad. Come on, you.
Hello, Warden.
What have you done to Captain Wolf?
Oh, don't worry, Warden. We just drew a little blood. Now, you get this.
Who is this speaking?
J. Conrad Allen.
Oh, number 6720.
No, Warden. J. Conrad Allen is the name.
What do you want?
Plenty, and we don't want any funny business from you.
Now, look here.
No, you look here, Warden. Now, look, you just sit tight until you hear from me again. And don't you forget to send supper over as usual.
I will not.
Okay, Warden, okay. Don't send the supper then, but you better send a stretcher, because we're just about to beat up a guard. Big Joe.
Yeah, which one, Conrad?
The one who's so handy with the chain strap.
Feeney?
Yeah, that's him. Here's his chain. Use it on him.
It'll be a pleasure.
Your throat goes dry as you watch it and your insides turn over. It's amazing how little time it takes to beat a man into an insensible pulp with a length of chain. And then it's all over. And they toss Feeney's bleeding hulk out into the yard. After they've carried Feeney's broken body away, it doesn't take long for supper to arrive. Rolled up to the door on steam carts by frightened trusties. The men of the old cell block fall to with an appetite you can't share. Not only because the soup is greasy and thin, and the bread rough and thick, but also because you've just seen a man nearly beaten to death.
Why, you're not eating, Mr. Kelly.
I'm not very hungry.
I don't blame you. But after a while, you get hungry in here. Now, you get so hungry you'll even eat this guck.
Yeah, I suppose you do.
But don't think just because this is punishment food that it's much better in the mess hall. It isn't. It's just more filling over there.
Did you have to do it?
What?
Beat up the guard.
Of course.
Why?
Force. That's the only thing they understand. The guards, the warden. That's the way they treat us. You don't have to do anything. You just have to have a guard down on you. And it can mean 3 days in a straitjacket. You get in a real rhubarb and you can go down to the dungeon for anywhere from a week to a month.
The dungeon?
Yeah. The dungeon. It's down in the cellar of this block. The cells are 5 feet long, 5 feet high, and 3 feet wide. So you can't lie down, you can't stand up, and there's no light. It's not a pretty place, Mr. Kelly. You see what I mean?
I'm beginning to.
Okay, Mr. Kelly. It's your story.
What do you mean?
Well, Mr. Kelly, for a newspaper man, you amaze me. It's your story. Eyewitness.
You gonna let me out?
Oh, no, indeed. We need you.
Well, then how can I...
Phone it in. When's the morning edition go to press?
Well, the Bulldogs put the bed at 8:15.
Right, you got a little more than an hour. Can you do it?
Oh, sure, if I can get a call through.
You'll get a call through.
Hello?
Outside line, please.
What?
You heard me, Warden. Tell the operator to give us an outside line.
What are you trying...
Mr. Kelly wants to file a story.
Well, no story goes out of here without my okay.
No? I bet you're holding a press conference in your office right now, aren't you? Well, so am I. Mr. Kelly wants to file his story.
I will not be intimidated.
How's Feeney, Warden? Is he resting easy? Who do you want next, McGuire or that green kid who opened the first cell? Name him. We'll deliver him to you in pieces.
Look here, Alan. Don't you realize what'll happen to you men? You can't get out of there. You're already in bad trouble, all of you. You've forfeited your chance for parole by breaking out. You've extended your sentences by beating up Feeney. You're only making it worse on yourself. Now, if you don't give up, you'll all spend the rest of your lives right where you are, in the old block.
Threats, Warden? You threatening us? What's the matter? Scared? Because we're not. We're sitting pretty, Warden. But you got plenty to lose. You might lose your job. And where could you ever find another one so cushy? You better play ball with us, Warden, because we're playing for keeps. Now get me an outside line.
I will not.
Okay, Big Joe, go to work on the next goose.
Sure. Now, wait a minute, you can't. It's inhuman.
I suppose the dungeon isn't.
But you can't.
Get me that outside line, Warden.
Give me your word you won't harm that man.
I'll give you my word for now. You get me that line.
What number do you want?
Get me the Capital News telegram.
The managing editor.
Yeah, person to person to the managing editor, Mr. Wiley Brooks.
How did you know?
And make it snappy.
How did you know the ME's name?
Why, I've been around some, Mr. Kelly. I needn't warn you, I suppose, not to double cross us.
How could I?
I don't know, but just don't. You saw what happened to Feeney.
Yeah, I saw. But I have to include that in my story.
I want you to. It happened. We're not ashamed of it. Oh, and here, you'll want to include this.
What's this?
A list of demands. Oh, I want to get that in. I want the warden to see that in print, and the prison board, and the governor.
News telegram, Brooks speaking.
Hello, Wiley. This is Conrad Allen speaking.
Conrad? I thought you were in prison.
Yeah, I am.
Well, then what? What's going on up there? We got a flash that there was some trouble.
There is.
I got a man up there, but we haven't heard from him.
You will.
Say, what is this?
Well, I've never forgotten what you did for me during my trial.
Well, I knew you were framed. After all, you were the best City Hall reporter I ever had.
Oh, thank you. I told you I'd return the favor someday. I got an eyewitness story for you on the mutiny in the old cell block.
Well, let's have it.
Well, you know me, Wiley. I was never very good phoning a story in. I think better to typewriter, so I'll turn you over to your Mr. Kelly.
Is he there?
Yeah, he's one of our hostages.
One of your...
Take it from here, Mr. Kelly.
Hello, Wiley.
What are you doing up there, Bob?
I'll fill you in when I get out of here, if I get out. Right now, here's the story. Ready?
Ready.
At 3:43 this afternoon in the old cell block at State's Prison, John J. Casey, alias Limpy, You dictate the story as fast as you can, including the mutineers' list of demands. Abolition of the dungeon, better food, abolition of the use of straitjackets, chains, whips, and blackjacks, and no reprisals against the prisoners involved in the mutiny. Well, that winds it up as of this minute, Wiley.
Wait a minute. I got something to add.
Just a minute. Conrad Allen, that's spelled with one L.
I know.
He wants to add something.
Hello, Wiley.
Yes, Conrad.
Look, I got 3 guards left. Now, your bulldog still hits the street at 10 p.m., doesn't it?
That's right.
Well, if they don't meet our demands by midnight, we beat up a guard. The next one goes at 4 a.m., the last one at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. You can print that.
Yeah. Okay, Conrad, but listen. Let Bob Kelly out of there, will you? I need him on this story.
Wiley. He's on the story, and we need him. And if they don't give in by 8 a.m. when I run out of guards, I'll need your Mr. Kelly very badly.
You hear it, you don't believe it. And then you think of Feeney. You're not so sure. The time drags on. Some of the men go back to their cells to sleep in the unaccustomed half-freedom of open doors. A couple of them pull the doors quietly shut because sleep is impossible with the doors open. 8 o'clock. 9 o'clock. 10.
Well, papers on the street now.
11 o'clock. The tension mounts. Slowly, Conrad's midnight deadline approaches. The hands creep toward 12. They meet, point upward. 10 seconds. 15. Nothing happens.
Okay, boys.
Who's next?
How about McGuire, the blackjack specialist? Use his own on him.
Okay, Conrad.
Warden speaking.
Send a stretcher, Warden. McGuire will be ready for you in 5 minutes.
Here's your answer, Conrad.
Hey, the lights! Somebody turned off the lights!
So that's the way he wants it.
What word do you want to use? Pandemonium, chaos, anarchy? They all fit. While the screaming guard is beaten into unconsciousness, the roaring men break apart the wooden furniture, dump the cots over the balconies, rip open the mattresses, and build a fire in the middle of the cell block. And at last, after the guard has been dumped into the yard and carried away, their anger subsides into sullen silence. Four more hours drag by, and at last Conrad's next deadline arrives.
Ready to give in, Warden?
Are you thirsty, Conrad?
What do you mean?
You will be.
Why, the crummy. Hey, Limpy.
Yeah?
Turn on the water tap in your cell.
Huh?
Turn it on.
It's just a trickle. It stopped.
Well, come here.
Yeah, Conrad.
Look, keep it to yourself, you understand?
Yeah, but what does it mean? They turn off the water?
Well, just keep it to yourself. Don't tell the other guys.
Oh, they'll find out soon enough.
Yeah, but let's not tell them, huh? Let them find out by themselves.
Look here, Conrad, don't you see they got you licked?
No, they haven't, Mr. Kelly. They're scared. They're plenty scared.
In the name of humanity, why don't you stop this?
Stop now? We can't stop.
Hey, Conrad.
Something's going on outside.
What is it?
I can't tell. It sounds like digging out and back.
Well, can't you see?
You kidding? They ain't got no lights, remember? And the yard lights are out.
Time to throw him another bone.
Which one this time?
How about the greenhorn kid?
Oh, but he's the one who let me out.
Well, he's a guard, isn't he? Go to work on him.
So the greenhorn kid gets his and is dumped into the yard. And you sit and wait in the darkness until gray light spreads over the gray walls and through the tiny windows, turning the blackness of the block into a lighter black. And one by one, the men awaken.
Hey, Conrad, there ain't no water on the taps.
I know.
What is this? Did they turn off the water?
Yeah.
Another hour goes by, and it's breakfast time.
Hey, Conrad, when do we eat?
We wait and see.
Well, I'm hungry.
We wait. 8 o'clock, that's the deadline.
And at last, 8 o'clock.
Okay, boys, this is it. What the...
Well, what's the matter, Conrad?
Phone, kid. They cut off the phone.
What?
Gee, Conrad, what we gonna do? We got no lights, no water, no phone, no food.
I told you, son. We better give ourselves up.
Oh, go back into your cell and get lost, Pop.
But what are we going to do, Conrad?
Well, boys, how would you like a little exercise?
Huh?
Big Joe.
Yeah.
Unlock the lard tub.
With pleasure.
Come on, give him to me. Come on. Now, boys, with Lard Tub Wolf, it's going to be different. Everybody gets a try. Because everybody's got unfinished business with Tub, isn't that right? Okay, Big Joe. Handcuff his arms behind him and stand him up by the door. All right, now, boys, line up. But, fellas, be fair. You guys at the head of the line go a little easy so the fellas at the end still have something left to work on. Okay, go to work.
You thought you'd seen cruelty before, but this is mass bloodlust. The tormented turning on their tormentor. Each man delivering his retribution on the captain of the yard. Calculatingly, deliberately, one with a fist, another with a foot, a third with a length of chain, still another with an iron cotleg, and you turn away. And the effort of your retching blots out the sounds of agony and empty victory.
Good old Lard Tub.
I got an idea he might quit his job.
After he's able to walk again. Hey, Conrad, I just thought of something.
Yeah, what's that?
What are we going to do next?
Nothing. It's their move.
Yeah, but we ain't got any more guards to beat up.
That's right. But we've still got Mr. Kelly.
Your heart stops beating for a long instant as the wild, bloodshot eyes of 32 desperate men center on you.
Yeah, that's right. I was forgetting. We still got Mr. Kelly.
Now, wait a minute, Conrad. He ain't done nothing to us except do us a favor. You got the story out.
Now, listen, boys, let's not get ethical. We're all in this all over our heads. If Mr. Kelly's what it takes to win our point, we'll use Mr. Kelly.
Now, look, I don't think
You're
it's right.
not supposed to think. I'll do the thinking. You agree with me, don't you, Kelly? You'd do the same thing if you were in my place, wouldn't you?
You're asking me. You don't know how long you sit there across the table from Conrad. Time has stopped. You wait. Conrad waits. The men wait in silent little groups. You wait for the next move, the warden's move. And at last it comes.
You men in the old cell block.
Hey. What's that?
Yeah, just put a loudspeaker truck into the yard.
Where? Oh, yeah.
Can you hear me?
I'll break out this window. Yeah, Warden, I hear you.
I'm not talking to you, Alan.
I'm doing the talking for the guy.
I'm talking to all of you men. I've just come from a meeting with the prison board and the governor. We're in agreement that we will not permit the authority of the state to be bullied by a tiny group of men who haven't even the rights of citizens.
Make it simple, Warden. You turning us down?
I'm willing to discuss your grievances with you, but I will not be forced to give in to your demands. That's final. Now, men, I urge you, come out of there peaceably, and we'll see what can be done for you.
Thanks a lot for nothing, Warden. We'll sit tight.
Men, don't listen to Alan. He must be crazy to keep you there, and I think he is keeping you there. Now listen to me. I've cut off your lights, your water, your food. I could let you rot in there, but I don't want to do that. Come out peaceably.
Ah, go blow it.
All right. I will. My watch says 17 minutes after 9. Exactly 9:30, I will blow up the cell block.
You're bluffing.
You think so? During the night, we planted dynamite all around the building.
Hey, Conrad, you remember I said I heard noises out there during the night, huh?
Yeah.
You men, don't listen to Alan. Listen to me. Now, you've got 12 and a half minutes to make up your minds.
You're forgetting something, Warden. We still got the newspaper reporter in here, Mr. Kelly.
I can't be responsible for him. I got all my cards out. I won't bargain any further. There's just a little more than 12 minutes. Think it over, boys.
Well, Mr. Kelly, looks like you aren't as valuable as I thought you'd be.
I'm sorry about that.
Well, we're licked. We gotta give in.
Give in! Give in after we've gone this far. Give in and lose everything? Do you realize that in this state they can give us all life for what we've done so far? Me, I'd rather be blown up than spend the rest of my life in this hole.
No, Conrad, please, you gotta get us out.
It's all your fault, you little punk.
What do you mean?
If you hadn't cocked that greenhorn guard yesterday just because you wanted to make up to Conrad, we wouldn't be in this fix.
Lay off the kid.
Well, you little jerk, I ought to break your
I
head.
said lay off the kid.
You made a lot of mistakes, Conrad. This is one too many. You had yourself a ball ordering us around, promising us you'd mastermind us out of here. Where you got us? 5 minutes from Kingdom Come.
Now the warden's only bluffing. He wouldn't dare blow us up. I'll get you all out of this.
No, Con.
Call me Conrad.
No, Con. I'm not waiting no 5 minutes to find out if he's bluffing. I said you made a lot of mistakes, and the biggest one was passing out the guards' guns, remember? No, stand right where you are. I'm taking over now.
Why, you stick a little grease ball.
Don't you move, Con.
You call me Conrad.
Less than 5 minutes, boys. I'm going out. Anybody joining me?
Kelly, I feel I must apologize for the inconvenience and discomfort you suffered.
That, Warden, is the understatement of the year.
As I said yesterday, you will, of course, clear any stories you write about the situation through me.
I doubt it.
But we can't permit...
Look, Warden, I'm going to report it just as it happened. And when I get through, I don't think J. Conrad Allen, spelled with one L, mixed up and twisted though his values may have been, I don't think he will have died in vain.
Suspense, in which Howard Duff starred in Eyewitness, written, directed, and produced by William N. Robeson. Listen. Listen again next week when we return with Herbert Marshall in Back for Christmas, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. Supporting Mr. Duff in Eyewitness were John Daner, Lou Merrill, Joe Kearns, Jack Crucian, Court Falkenberg, Barney Phillips, Tony Barrett, Dick LeGrand, and G. Stanley Jones. The original musical score was composed and conducted by Jerry Goldsmith.
Every weekday evening, most of these same stations bring you three of the greatest stars in all show business, Bing Crosby and Amos and Andy. In their music hall, Amos and Andy let still another star, the Kingfish, join the proceedings as they play host to lady wrestlers, symphony conductors, and anyone who will make music or laughter or both. Hear them every weekday night on CBS Radio.
Suspense. And the producer of radio's outstanding theater of thrills, William N. Robeson.
We pause now in this gayest of all seasons for a little murder. We interrupt the pleasing flow of heartwarming greetings and ageless hymns and carols for a slight case of uxoricide. We turn our attention from tinsel and gay ornaments and strings of colored lights to blood, as Herbert Marshall stars in Back for Christmas, a tale well calculated to keep you in
suspense.
Happy, Mrs. Carpenter?
Deliriously, Professor Carpenter.
Well, then how about another glass of champagne? Nothing goes better with a happy bride than a glass of bubbly.
Nothing? How about a happy husband?
That you have. To us.
To us. Forever.
Darling.
Oh, Herbert. I'm afraid it's all a dream, and I'll wake up any minute to find myself back in that drab little bookshop in Leicester Street, searching for obscure volumes for absent-minded professors.
Oh, so that's what you thought of me.
Oh, not you, Herbert. You were different. I felt it the first time you came into the place.
Premonition, second sight. You knew at that minute, I suppose, that I would whisk you off to America and make you my wife.
Well, not exactly. But I'm awfully glad you did.
You think you like America?
I love it.
I thought perhaps after this lecture tour is over, I might try to find a connection at some college or other and just stay on. What would you say to that?
I say, wherever you are is where I want to be.
Now, who in the world? Who is it?
Bellboy, sir.
Just a minute. Yes, what is it?
A letter, sir, for Mrs. Carpenter.
For Mrs.? Here, let me have it. Here.
Thank you, sir.
A letter for Mrs. Carpenter? Herbert, you were a widower, weren't you? I mean, Hermione isn't still alive.
Well, heavens, no.
But that letter... No one back in England knows that I'm married.
Let's forget it, shall we? And have another glass of wine.
I've often wondered what she was like.
Who?
Hermione. You never told me anything about her.
I'd just as soon forget her, but she's not an easy woman to forget. Dominating. Always managing things, the house, my wardrobe, my friends. You might say she managed herself to death. Yes, Hermione.
What on earth are you doing down here in the cellar?
Putting the finishing touches on this wine bin.
Have you taken leave of your senses? Yes, I dare say you have. Look at you, the epitome of the absent-minded professor.
Oh, I wouldn't say that.
Well, I would. Whatever would become of you if I weren't here to look after you?
I wonder.
And, well, you might. Have you any idea what today is?
Why, Tuesday, I believe.
Indeed. And what is going to happen today?
Well, according to your plans, we are flying to America on the 9 o'clock plane.
Precisely. And the Goodenows are coming in for tea in half an hour. And here you are digging a hole in the cellar.
It is not a hole, it's a wine bin.
Well, it looks more like a grave to me.
Yes, Hermione.
Upstairs with you now and get into some clean things.
Yes, Hermione.
I've already dismissed the cook. You'll have to get the tea things ready while I'm taking my bath.
Yes, Hermione.
Oh, dear, such a bother to go to. Closing up the house and all, and then having to open it again when we get back for Christmas.
Back for Christmas. Must you keep saying that?
Oh, why not? We are coming back for Christmas, aren't we?
Well, supposing I were offered a position in an American university.
Oh, nonsense.
Well, they did ask me to come to lecture. That means something.
Well, not very much. Americans will pay to hear any foreigner deliver a lecture once. But there's no use building dream castles, Herbert. Nobody's going to offer you a fortune in America. Of course, the extra money you will get will be very handy when we arrive back for
Back
Christmas.
for Christmas.
Precisely. And it's no good you're making a joke of it. Oh, but heaven knows where you'd be today if I hadn't got a sense of time.
Yes, Hermione.
Now get a move on. And be sure to straighten up the sitting room and get the tea things out. The second best, the Goodenows will understand.
Yes, Hermione.
Now, I'm going up to have my bath now. Call me when they arrive.
Yes, Hermione. Yes, Hermione. Yes, Hermione. 20 years of it. 20 years of Hermione being right. 20 years of personal management. Down to the smallest detail of which necktie to wear and how many minutes one's eggs should be cooked. 20 years of slow strangulation, which would only have ended in dull death if it had not been for Marion. At least Marion was one detail that Hermione could not manage, could not even imagine. The mousy proprietor of a bookstore, proper, ever so intellectual with her heavy horn-rimmed spectacles, and the absent-minded professor. But such things do happen sometimes, as they did that afternoon last summer.
Good afternoon.
Oh, good afternoon. Is Miss Markham about? Well, Oh, bless me. Is it you, Miss Markham?
Yes, Professor Carpenter.
Oh, but I say I didn't recognize you without your glasses. Why, I thought you couldn't see a thing without them.
I can't.
But you're not wearing them.
Oh, yes, I am. Contact lenses.
Well, I must say.
Must say what, Professor?
Oh, I never realized what lovely eyes you have.
Thank you, Professor.
And that frock, it is so becoming.
Well, once I decided to get rid of the horn-rimmed glasses, it wasn't too difficult to get out of tweeds.
It's a delightful transformation. From cocoon to butterfly.
Yes. Butterflies are not nearly as lonely as cocoons.
You're lonely?
I'm completely alone since my father died.
Did you never think of marrying?
My father was a very remarkable man. I never found anyone who could measure up to him, so...
Oh, what a pity.
How long have you been alone, Professor?
Alone?
Well, I knew you were a widower, of course, the first time I saw you.
A widower?
Oh, I can always tell. It was the same with my father. There's a certain sadness in a man's eyes. A sweet sadness, I think, when he's been married and then...
A widower? I never thought of it quite that way.
Oh, I have your books.
Books?
Yes, the ones you ordered last week. That's what you came by for, wasn't it?
Yes, I suppose it is. I'd quite forgotten.
The Phytotomy of Phalloid Gamophytites and Coniferous Shrubs of North America. Those are the ones you ordered, aren't they?
Yes. Thank you. You're very kind, Miss Markham.
Why kind, Professor Carpenter?
Oh, not many young ladies in bookshops who go out of their way to look up rare books from an old professor of botany.
Oh, why, you're not old, Professor Carpenter. Really, you look... Besides, I adore botany. It's my particular hobby.
No, really? You never told me that before, Miss Markham.
I was afraid to. You always intimidated me. You seemed so preoccupied.
Yes, I suppose I did. Well, you might be interested in some specimens of alpine poliances that were just sent to me by a friend in Switzerland.
Switzerland? Oh, I used to go there always for my holidays before the war.
You like Switzerland?
Oh, every part of it. The lakes, the mountains, the beautiful spring flowers, especially the flowers.
It seems that we have quite a lot in common, Miss Markham. I'm sorry we haven't met before.
I am too. But perhaps we can make up for it in the future.
Indeed we shall. So had it begun, and one thing led to another, as they will with two lonely people. The invitation to lecture in America made a happy ending possible. While Hermione proceeded with her plans for the trip, I made my own plans. Quite different plans. Now they were all but complete. Everything was proceeding according to schedule, my schedule. Even Hermione, drawing her bath upstairs, gave me the opportunity to phone Marion.
Hello?
Hello, dear.
Darling.
Are you all packed?
Almost.
Not much time left.
I know.
Excited?
Breathless.
Heathrow Aerodrome, 8:30.
I'll be there.
I love you, Marion.
And I you, Herbert. Herbert?
I'm sorry I've got to ring off now, darling. I'll see you at the aerodrome.
Tonight and forever, darling. Goodbye for a little.
Goodbye.
Herbert! Were you talking on the phone just now?
Yes, Hermione.
Whoever was it?
Freddie Sinclair.
Didn't I hear you say something about seeing somebody at the aerodrome?
Yes. Old Freddie said he might possibly get out to see us off tonight.
Well, that seems very peculiar. But then all of your friends are peculiar.
Yes, Hermione.
I thought I told you to change your clothes before the guests arrive.
Yes, Hermione.
Never mind. Somebody just drove up. Go and let them in.
Yes, Hermione.
Herbert!
Yes, Hermione.
Look out the window. There's Professor and Mrs. Goodenough. But who's that with them?
Why, it's...
Precisely. Freddie Sinclair. Peculiar you should have been talking to him on the phone just now, when here he is coming up the walk.
Yes, isn't it? But then, as you say, Hermione, all of my friends are peculiar.
Not half so peculiar as you. Digging in the cellar an hour before we leave for America. Just look at yourself.
Yes, Hermione.
So go and let them in.
Yes, Hermione.
Open the door. And stop saying yes, Hermione.
I think, my dear, I've said it for the last time.
In a moment, we continue with Suspense.
Songs make Christmas. And for this Christmas Eve, you have a very special invitation from CBS Radio to raise your voice in all the old familiar songs in A Carol Sing led by Bing Crosby. On this festive hour-long holiday show, you'll also hear Rosemary Clooney, Maurice Chevalier, Sarah Churchill, the Paul Weston Orchestra, and the Norman Luboff Choir. There'll be pickups of voices raised in Christmas song from far-off corners of the world. Whatever you're doing this Christmas Eve, wrapping packages, trimming the tree, entertaining friends, add new joy to the evening as all of you sing with Bing.
And now, we continue with Back for Christmas, starring Herbert Marshall. A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Back for Christmas. Hermione was so positive we would be back for Christmas. That afternoon, pouring tea for a few friends who had come in to say last-minute farewells. She kept reiterating it.
Now, mind your Hermione. Don't let those Americans lure your husband with one of their fat university jobs. We absolutely must have you with us for Christmas.
Oh, we will be back, I promise you.
Oh, it's not absolutely certain, of course.
Herbert, what do you mean it's not certain? Of course it's certain.
After all, Herbert, old boy, you've contracted to lecture for only 2 months.
Quite right, Freddie, but then, of course, anything may happen.
Oh, Herbert adores being unpredictable. Now, what other man would decide today, the very day, mind you, before leaving for America, to dig a great hole in the floor in the cellar?
In the cellar?
For a wine bin. He's been talking about putting a wine bin in the cellar for the last 2 months, but he never got around to working on it until the last few days.
A wine bin? Whatever for?
It's the only way to store wines, you know, in the cellar. Even temperature, all that sort of thing.
Indeed. In that damp, they'll all turn. A proper wine bin should be made of concrete.
Mine will serve its purpose, I believe.
Oh, there you are, my dear. Men. They're impractical little boys at heart, all of them.
Oh, I don't know, Hermione.
Indeed they are. But not all of them are fortunate enough to have as practical a wife as you, Hermione.
Oh, not really.
Oh, yes, my dear. I know I could never have done what you've done. I'd just go to pieces. Imagine, Freddie, all the things one had to do before such a journey, and Hermione's done them all by herself.
Oh, yes, Hermione is quite remarkable.
Well, someone had to do them, and Herbert's no help.
He's a lucky man to have you, my dear. You realize that, don't you, Herbert?
Oh, indeed I do. You have no idea how well I realize it.
Well, we really must be going.
So soon?
Oh, yes. I'm sure even you have at least a few last-minute things you must attend to. But don't forget, you'll be back
for Christmas, you may count on it.
Bon voyage, then, my dear Hermione.
Goodbye, dear.
Goodbye, Hermione.
Oh, not yet, Freddie. We'll make our farewells at the aerodrome.
At the aerodrome?
Why, yes. Herbert said you phoned to say you'd see us off at Heathrow.
I phoned?
Yes. Just a few minutes before you arrived.
But I couldn't have. I've been out for a drive all the afternoon.
Oh, come, Freddie. You may as well own up.
I say, look here, old chap, I don't know what you're trying to...
You see, Herbert can't even lie well. He's red as a beetroot.
Aren't you ashamed of yourself, Herbert, stringing poor Hermione along like that?
Well, I suppose the game is up. It wasn't Freddie I was talking to, Hermione.
Well, I don't see how it could have been.
No, I was, well, it was about a little surprise I was planning for you.
How sweet.
And I have a surprise for you, too, Herbert, when I bring you back for Christmas. Merciful heavens, I thought they'd never leave.
Oh, we still have plenty of time.
Well, not if we're to leave the house in proper condition for our return. Now, Herbert, after you get that dust cloth over the damport, you can help me with the tea things in the scullery. No. Oh, no, not that way. Herbert, you're leaving wrinkles.
Well, who's to see it, my dear?
Well, I can see it, and I don't like it that way.
Yes, sir. Very well. How's this?
A little better. Now, let's get at the tea things. There's a dear. Oh, Herbert.
Yes?
What was all this nonsense about a surprise for me?
Oh, well, if I told you, then it wouldn't be a surprise, would it?
Oh, come now, Herbert. We're too old to play children's games. What is it?
Well, if you'll come down to the cellar, I'll give it to you.
In the cellar? Why in the cellar?
Because that's where it is.
Oh, really, Herbert, you don't make any sense. Now, help me with the tea things.
But you will come down to the cellar.
Well, later, Herbert, if there's time.
Time. There had to be time. But Hermione was meticulous. And each cup to be washed and dried just so, and put away in the cupboard in its accustomed place just so. And the silver had to be carefully wiped and put away in its plush-lined box just so. And then, once more, all the dust covers had to be straightened and the windows checked to be sure they were locked. And the time was running short.
Now, I think that's everything.
Everything but your surprise. Will you come down to the cellar now?
can't you bring it up here?
Oh, no, that would be quite impossible.
Oh, it's so dusty down there, and I'm all dressed for the trip.
I know, but it'll only take a minute, and you'll find it quite worthwhile, I'm sure.
Oh, very well.
She went ahead down the cellar stairs. As we reached the bottom, I silently lifted a small crowbar from a nail in the wall. She stood in the middle of the cellar, peering around in the ill-lit gloom.
Well, I don't see anything but that hole you've dug.
That's it. It's in there.
Where?
Look closer. Step closer to it. Right to the edge.
Really, Herbert.
Now do you see it? A little large for a wine bin, but just right for a grave. Back for Christmas? No, Hermione. No, Hermione. I'll never be back. You've planned it so well, Hermione. You're so predictable, so practical. Even to typing your letters and signing them with a neat cryptic H, I have learned to copy. I'll be your amanuensis. I'll write your friends for you, Hermione. Through me, you will tell them we won't be back for Christmas. And then you will tell them how much you like America and that you persuaded me to accept a teaching position. You will tell them that you may decide to settle there permanently. And then the letters will come less and less frequently until at last they will hear from me, and I will break the news to them that you have died in America. Then I will have my solicitors put this empty house with its sad associations up for sale, and that will be the end of the matter, Hermione. Back for Christmas? No, Hermione. No. Not now. Go away, whoever you are, go away. Did I leave the front door unlocked? No.
I say, Herbert.
Just keep calm, keep quiet. They won't look down here in the cellar. Keep calm. They'll go away.
Now, where can they be?
Perhaps they popped round to the dell.
We must see them.
Oh, perhaps the shop. There's something at the last minute, huh?
Oh, not Hermione.
I say, shall I shout?
Jones might not be tactful.
Oh, there's no harm in a shout.
No, let's come in on our way back. Hermione said they wouldn't leave till 7.
All right. Only I do want a last drink with old Herbert. You know he'd be hurt.
All right. Let's hurry. We can be back by 6:30.
6:30. There's still time. After that, it was easy. Put the finishing touches to the wine bin. Dress fast, get out of the house before 6:30. Take the tube to Waterloo Air Terminal and the airline's bus to Heathrow. All according to plan. Hermione's plan. But from here on, my plan.
Announcing the arrival of BOAC Flight 14 from Rome, Calcutta, and Melbourne. Passengers will please report to customs.
Darling.
At the end
Oh,
of the landing
Herbert.
ramp.
Right on time, my dear.
TWA flight
Shall we check in?
509,
Whatever you
Paris
say.
and Frankfurt.
Scared?
I never felt safer in my life.
The no smoking sign just went out. Careful of cigarette, darling.
Yes, thanks.
Ever been on a plane before?
No, you?
My first time, too.
Oh, how nice. To enjoy a first experience together. I was worried.
About what?
Well, you having been married once, nothing would be new to you.
My darling, it will be new. All of it.
Is everything all right?
Yes, thank you.
Would you care for a pillow, Mrs. Carpenter?
Were you speaking to me?
Yes, Mrs. Carpenter. Would you care for a pillow?
No, thanks. I don't believe so.
Well, if you want anything, just ring the bell over your seat.
Thank you. Herbert,
Yes, dear.
she called me Mrs. Carpenter.
That's right.
But I'm not yet.
Well, you will be tomorrow this time.
But how does she know?
Well, that's the way our tickets read, Mr. and Mrs. Carpenter.
Why?
I wanted you to get used to being Mrs. Carpenter straight off.
Oh, Herbert, you're a dear. You think of everything.
Can I help you, sir?
Oh, yes, please. Professor and Mrs. Carpenter. We have reservations, I believe.
Oh, yes. We've been expecting you, sir. Boy, take Professor and Mrs. Carpenter's luggage up to their suite. You know, frankly, Mrs. Carpenter, you're quite a surprise. Your letter reserving the rooms was so thorough, I was expecting an older, more forbidding sort of person.
My letter reserving the room?
Oh, I wrote the letter, my dear, and I signed it Mrs. Herbert Carpenter, just as a joke.
Oh, what a cunning old fox you are, Herbert.
Now that I think of it, I am rather. Well, Mrs. Carpenter, we might as well kill the bottle, as they say here in America.
Darling, you'll make me tipsy.
That's what a bride should be, just a little tipsy.
Herbert, this letter the bellboy just brought seems to be a bill of some sort from a building contractor in Kensington.
Oh, some mistake, no doubt.
And addressed to me?
Well, give it here and we'll get to the bottom of the matter. Madam, this is to acknowledge your order, together with the keys to your house in Ronston Place. Our men had no difficulty in finding the place where your husband had begun the excavation in the cellar. But apparently he changed his mind at the last moment and filled it in again.
What is it, Herbert?
Our men will begin digging tomorrow, and you may rest assured that it will be a professional concrete line job and will be completed in ample time for your surprise Christmas present to your husband. We are happy to be conspirators with you in this thoughtful gesture and hope that Professor Carpenter will be pleased with our construction of his wine bin. Very truly yours, Paul Holt and Sons Contractors.
What does it mean, Herbert?
It means that Hermione was right. I will be back for Christmas.
Suspense. In which Herbert Marshall starred in John Collier's story, Back for Christmas. Listen. Listen again 2 weeks from now, when we return with Russian New Year, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. Suspense is produced and directed by William N. Robeson. Heard in tonight's cast were Irene Tedrow, Ellen Morgan, Paula Winslow, Ben Wright, and Jack Moyles. The musical score was composed by Lucien Morawek and conducted by Wilbur Hatch.
Looking for adventure, excitement, thrills, and chills, all without leaving the comforts of your own home? CBS Radio answers your need every Sunday on most of these same CBS radio stations with yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Johnny's a freelance insurance investigator, an old hand at wrapping larcenists and lovely ladies, and the author of the most imaginative expense accounts in history. His tales are guaranteed to keep you between chills and chuckles. And you'll find yours truly, Johnny Dollar, right on the job when he tackles his next baffling case a little later on in the day. Ladies and gentlemen, don't let death take your holiday. The traffic death toll over these Christmas holidays will be more than twice the average for any other week of the year. Don't allow the holiday spirit, the rush and activity to make you careless. Stay alert. Drive especially carefully. Remember, the best Christmas present is your presence. Stay tuned now for 5 minutes of CBS News, to be followed over most of these same CBS radio stations by Indictment.
Suspense. And the producer of radio's outstanding theater of thrills, William N. Robeson.
Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast in the field. And the Lord God said unto the serpent, Because thou hast done this thing, thou art cursed, and upon thy belly thou shalt go all the days of thy life. And so it has been ever after. With us, the snake has always been the heavy. Let the ancient Aztec venerate the plumed serpent Quetzalcoatl. Let the Babylonian believe that the twined snakes on a staff represented fertility, wisdom, and healing. Let the early Roman display the caduceus as a symbol of peace and neutrality. We know better. With us, a garter snake can panic a picnic, but a bushmaster loose on an ocean liner. Snake-proof your doors and windows, take a Milltown, and listen as Jack Kelly stars in Martin Storm's great story, A Shipment of Mute Fate, a tale well calculated to keep you in
suspense.
I stopped on the wharf at La Guara and looked up the gangplank toward the line of Chankay, standing there quietly at her moorings. The day was warm under a bright Venezuelan sun, and the harbor beyond the ship lay drowsy and silent. But all at once, in the midst of those peaceful surroundings, a cold chill gripped me, and I shivered with sudden dread. Dread of the thing I was doing, and was about to do. But too much had happened to turn back now. I'd gone too far to stop. I set the box down on the edge of the wharf, placed it carefully so as to be in plain sight and within gunshot of the captain's bridge. Then I turned and started up the gangplank. I knew what I was going to do, but I couldn't forget that a pair of beady eyes were watching every move I made. Eyes that never blinked and never closed, just watched and waited, and I...
Excuse me, sir. I didn't see you. Why, it's Mr. Warner.
Hello, Mother Willis. How's the best-looking stewardess on the Seven Seas?
Why, I'm fine, Mr. Warner. It is nice seeing you again.
Hey, wait a minute. That's a fine greeting after 2 months.
Well, have a great deal to do aboard.
I don't believe a word of that. Sailing day's tomorrow. You're simply avoiding me, that's all.
Oh, no, really, I'm not.
And on the trip down from New York, you said I was your favorite passenger.
And so you were. And now, if you'll excuse me.
Here. What's that you're carrying in your apron?
Oh, nothing. Just supplies.
Supplies? Let's have a look.
No, please.
What? It's a cat.
Well, it's Clara, Mr. Warner. Mr. Bowman said I had to leave her ashore, and I just couldn't.
Now, who's Mr. Bowman?
The new chief steward. He's English and fussy. Clara's been aboard with me for 2 years, and I just can't leave her here in a foreign country, especially with her condition so delicate and all.
Huh? Oh, yes, I see. Well, I hope you get away with it.
You won't tell anyone?
Not a soul. As a matter of fact, if things don't work out right, we may both end up smuggling.
Most happy to have you aboard on the trip down 2 months ago, Christopher. And I'm very glad you're coming along with us on the run back to New York.
Well, thanks, Captain Wood. There is one thing, though. I'm having a little trouble with the customs men here, and I wondered if you might...
I can do it, Christopher. I just cabled your father this morning. Told him I'd have done it for you if I possibly could. He sent a request from New York, you know.
Yes, I thought he would. I wired him from upriver last week.
I hated to refuse, but it's absolutely out of the question.
Captain Wood, I'm afraid I don't follow you.
Responsibility to the passengers, son. We'll have women and children aboard. And on a liner, the safety of the passengers comes ahead of anything else.
But with proper precautions...
Something might happen. I don't know what, but something might.
You've carried worse things.
There isn't anything worse. And any skipper afloat will bear me out. No, Christopher, I simply can't take the chance. And that's final.
Final. Well, it wasn't final if I could do anything about it. I hadn't come down here to spend 2 months in that stinking back country and then be stopped on the edge of the wharf. 2 months of it. Heat, rain, insects, malaria. I'd gone clear in past the headwaters of the Orinoco. Traveled through country where every step along the jungle trail might be the last one. Morning, Captain Wood. The man at the hotel said you wanted to see me.
That's right, Christopher. Sit down. Seems you weren't willing to let matters stand the way we left them yesterday.
I'm sorry to go over your head, Captain, but I had to. The museum sent me all the way down here for it, and I'm not going to be stopped by red tape. This will be the only live Bushmaster ever brought to the United States.
If I had my way, that orders are orders. Got a cable from the head office this morning. All right. Suppose we talk about precautions.
I'll handle it any way you say.
It's got to have a stronger box. That crate's too flimsy.
Well, it's stronger than it looks. And that wire screen on top, it holds a Wildcat. But anyway, I bought a heavy sea chest this morning. We'll put the crate inside of that.
Well, sounds all right. Got a lock on it?
Heavy padlock. It's fixed so the lid can be propped open a crack without unlocking it. The snake's got to have air.
But in dirty weather, that lid stays shut. I'll take no chances.
Well, all right, Captain.
We'll keep the thing in my cabin. Can't have it in the baggage room, and nobody on board's to know about it.
Whatever you say, Captain. But we won't have any trouble. After all, it's only a snake. It doesn't have any magical powers.
I saw a Bushmaster in the zoo at Caracas once. Had it in a glass cage with double walls. But it never moved. Just lay there and look at you as long as you were in sight. Gave a man the creeps.
Funny, I didn't know they had a Bushmaster at the Caracas Zoo.
They don't now. Found the glass broke one morning, and the snake gone. The night watchman was dead. They never found out what happened.
Well, the watchman must have broken the glass by accident some way.
The way they figured it, the glass was broke from the inside. We sail in 4 hours.
Into the Caribbean with perfect weather and a sea as smooth as an inland lake. The barometer dropped a little on the third day, but cleared up overnight and left nothing worse than a heavy swell. In spite of the calm seas and pleasant weather, I found myself feeling more and more often an ominous foreboding. I was developing an almost morbid fear of that snake. I stayed clear of the passengers pretty much, got the habit of dropping into Captain Wood's quarters several times a day. He kept the heavy box underneath his berth. I'd approach it quietly, shine my flashlight through the open crack. Never once could I catch that 12-foot devil asleep or even excited. He'd be lying there, half-coiled, his head raised a little, staring out of those beady black eyes, waiting. He'd still be like that when I'd turn away to leave. Maybe that's what bothered me, that horrible and constant watching and waiting. What in the name of heaven was he waiting for?
Well, hello there, Miss Warner.
Oh, how are you, Mother Willis?
But you and the captain spend an awful lot of time around this cabin. I'm beginning to think the two of you must have some guilty secret.
Oh, no, nothing like that, Mother Willis. I don't know about Captain Wood, but I certainly don't have any guilty secrets. She's running quite a swell out there, Mr. Bowman.
Yes, it's a bit heavy, all right, Mr. Warner. I imagine a storm passed through to the west of us yesterday when the glass dropped.
Do you think it missed us then, huh?
Oh, yes, it's what the mate figures. Certainly stirred up some water, though.
This'll put half the passengers in their bunks.
That makes it lovely for my department. 2/3 of them will want a steward to hold their heads, sir.
Well, I'll keep Mother Willis so busy she'll just have... Hey, look at the size of that wave.
Eh? Good, gee, Oshibek. We're going to take it on the port now. Hang on.
Wow, that was a freak if ever there was one. Not another wave that size in sight.
Well, you see them like that sometimes, sir, even in a calm sea. Well, I've got to get below, Mr. Warner. That water probably did some damage to the officer's deck.
Yeah, I suppose it... What did you say?
Oh, the wheel companionway was open on the port side. Bridge cabins must have taken a pretty bad smashing. They're right below the... Was something wrong, Mr. Warner?
Oh, no, nothing at all, Mr. Bowman. At least I hope not. Of course, I knew it was only one chance in 1,000. But the chances of that freak wave are 1 in 1,000, too. I stumbled down the companionway and along the passage to the captain's cabin.
Oh, Mr. Warner.
Mother Willis.
Isn't this cabin a mess? I'm trying to get some of these things out to dry.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to check. Where's that box that was under the captain's bunk?
Oh, that. I just threw it out on deck.
What?
Oh, the desk over there split into it. It was all smashed.
But the small box inside of it, what happened to that?
Oh, they were both splintered, Mr. Warner. Broke wide open.
Oh, no.
Mr. Warner, as white as a sheet.
Mother Willis, will you go find Captain Wood? Tell him to come down here immediately.
Well, I got a great deal to do in here.
Please, get him at once.
Very well. I suppose I can finish up here later.
I pulled open the top drawer of the bureau beside me. Took out the captain's flashlight and a loaded pistol. Mother Willis had left the mop standing by the door. I put my foot on the head of it and snapped off the handle. Every move I made turned into slow motion. I could hear my own heart beating. Slowly, I started to search the cabin. Sodden heaps of clothing were scattered around on the wet black floor. I punched at them one at a time, holding the gun cocked, the flashlight pointing along the stick. Nothing. I worked around the room, throwing the light into the dark corners, back of the desk, under the bunk. And wherever I turned, I could feel those cold and blinking eyes at my back, watching and waiting. Using the stick, I pushed open the closet door and threw the light inside. Carefully, I poked at the boxes and junk on the floor. The snake was not in the closet. Inch by inch, I covered the entire cabin, and only then a horrible realization began to dawn on me. Captain Wood.
Mother Willis just told me. Well, Christopher, so it's happened.
That's right. It's happened.
I see you found the gun. We'd better start searching the cabin here.
Captain Wood, I just finished searching it.
Then, women, kids, and that thing loose on board. 1,000 places for it to hide. God help us, Christopher. There's no use starting to blame anybody now, gentlemen. I didn't call you in here to pass judgment. The thing's done, and that's that.
You're right there, Captain.
What we have got to do is make up our minds how we're going to handle it.
Well, it'd be easier if we didn't have to tell the passengers and crew. I've seen panics aboard liners before, sir.
Yes, I agree with you, Mr. Bowman, but I don't quite see how we can avoid it.
They've got a right to know, sir. As long as that snake is loose, everybody on board's in the same danger, and they all ought to know about it.
Captain Wood, that snake is 12 feet long. It can't simply crawl into a crack. Why don't we make a quick search of the whole ship before we spread any alarm?
Yes, I thought of that, Christopher.
Well, as far as I can see, the only place it couldn't be is in the boilers or on top of the galley stove.
Well, it might have crawled overboard.
We can't count on that. We've got to assume it's on the ship somewhere.
Yes, sir. And that could be anywhere, in a coil of rope or in a pile of clothes.
Yes, or under some woman's berth or a baby's crib.
Or even...
We've already said it. That bushmaster could be anywhere. We've got to do something, and we've got to do it fast.
All right. I think the best idea is to follow Mr. Warner's suggestion and make a quick search first. You agree to that?
Yes, I'll do, sir.
Then if we don't find it, we'll have to warn the passenger.
We've got to find it. Alone in the dim baggage room, I went through the same movements as I had earlier in the captain's cabin. Gun in one hand, flashlight in the other, poking into every dark corner behind every trunk and box. Since the baggage room was empty, I could keep the gun cocked and ready. The rest of those poor devils were having to do the same thing. Bare-handed. All over the ship, the search went on.
Here now, steward. What on earth are you doing rummaging through my cabin?
Oh, just checking, madam.
Well, I'm quite sure there's nothing in here that has to be checked.
Oh, I'm sorry, madam. It's captain's orders. It'll only take a few minutes.
Well, I never heard of such a thing. A passenger simply doesn't have any privacy at all. Well, I've traveled on a lot of different lines, but I've certainly never heard of...
But not one of us could find that deadly shape coiled in some dark corner or outstretched along a window seat. Not one of us caught a glimpse of that horrid head with its beady, black, watchful eyes. That thing lay waiting out there somewhere along the deck, shaded in the gathering dusk. But where? We didn't know. It was nearly dark when we met together again in the chart room.
Well, gentlemen, there's no other way around it. We've risked all the time we can. We've got to warn the passenger.
Well, how are we going to do it, Captain? Call them all together in the lounge?
No. If we did anything like that, we'd be asking for a panic.
We'll get one whether we ask for it or not, sir.
Pick a few men and go through the cabin decks. Tell them individually, inside their cabins. Watch for any that act like they might cause trouble and We'll keep an eye on them. Handle the crew the same way.
Yes, sir.
As soon as you're finished, arm all the deck officers and start searching again. Our only chance of preventing a panic is to find that damnable snake.
The second night passed and morning came around. A gray and rainy day that dragged by. And then night came down again, third night of the terror. Again, every light burned. The whole ship seethed in the throes of incipient revolt. Faced by a horror they'd never met on the sea before, crew and officers alike were on the verge of panic. Passengers huddled in a trance-like stupor, ready to scream at the slightest unknown sound. 7 bells, I made my way forward to the chart room and found Captain Wood bent over a desk.
Oh, Christopher. Come on in and sit down.
It's got to be somewhere, Captain. It's got to be.
I don't know. You could search this ship for 6 months and never cover all the places aboard. If we can only hold out for 2 more days, we'll be in.
What's your home office say?
Here's the latest wireless from them. Keep quiet and keep coming. What else can we do? Cigarette?
Yeah, thanks.
How is it below?
Pretty bad. Anything could happen.
Yeah, that's why I took the guns away from the men. 1 pistol shot, we'd have a riot on our hands.
The whole thing's my fault, Captain Wood. That's what I can't forget.
Take it easy, lad.
There was only some way I could pay for it myself, alone.
No, I know how you feel. But it's no more your fault than mine. Or the man who asked you to bring that snake back alive. Nobody planned this. You'd better try to get a little sleep.
Sleep?
Mr. Bowman made some coffee down in the steward's galley a while ago. Go on down and get yourself a cup. Then rest for a couple of hours.
Rest? I can't rest.
Christopher, it's not going to help anything if you stumble through a hatch half asleep and break your neck. Go on and get some coffee. One way or another, we've got to hold out for 2 more days.
The light was on in the steward's galley and the coffee pot was standing on the stove. It was still warm, so I didn't bother to heat it. I poured out a cup, carried it over and set it on the porcelain tabletop in the center of the room. I started to light a cigarette. The door of the pan cupboard beneath the sink was standing slightly ajar, and I happened to glance toward it. I dropped the cigarette and moved slowly backward. I found the Bushmaster. As I moved, the snake slid out of the cupboard in a single sinuous glide and drew back into a loose coil on the galley floor, never taking his eyes off me. I moved slowly back, waiting any moment for that deadly slithering strike. How had he known it was me? He'd stayed quiet when Bowman was here. How had he picked the first time in 5 days that I was without a gun? My hands touched the wall behind me and I stopped. Only then I realized in terror what I'd done. The call button and the door were on the far side of the room. I backed into a dead end. I stared at the snake in fascination, expecting any moment the ripping slash of those poison fangs. The horrid coils tightened a little and were still again. 10 million years of evolution to produce this moment. Homo sapiens versus Lachesis mutus. A man against mute fate, and all the odds were on fate. I knew then I was going to die. I could feel the sweat run down between the wall and the palms of my hands pressing against it. My skin crawled and twitched, and the pit of my stomach was as cold as ice. There was no sound but the rush of blood in my ears. The snake shifted again, drawing into a tighter coil, always tighter. Why didn't the devil get it over with? And for an instant, his head veered away. Something moved over by the stove. I didn't dare turn to look at it. Slowly, it moved into my line of vision. It was a cat. That scrawny cat that Mother Willis had sneaked aboard in La Guara. Its back was arched and every hair stood on end. It moved, stiff-legged now, walking in a half circle around the snake. The Bushmaster moved slowly and kept watching the cat. He tightened. He was going to strike at any second. He struck and missed. It was barely out of reach. Now she was walking back and forth again. She was asking to die. Missed again by a fraction of an inch. He was striking now without even going to a full coil. Missed. Again. Always missing by the tiniest margin. Each time the cat danced barely out of reach, and each time she countered with one precise spat of a dainty paw, bracing her skinny frame on 3 stiff legs. And then suddenly I realized what she was doing. The Bushmaster was tiring, and one strike was just an instant slow, but in that split second, sharp claws raked across the evil head and ripped out both the lidless eyes. The cat had deliberately blinded the snake. He didn't bother to coil now, but slid after in a fury, striking wildly, but always missing. And every strike was a little slower than the last one, until finally, as the snake's neck stretched out at the end of a strike, the cat made one leap and sank a razor-sharp teeth just back of the ugly head, sank them until they crunched bone. With tooth and claw, she clung as the monstrous snake flailed and lashed on the floor, striving to get those hideous coils around us, trying to break her hold, to shake off the slow and certain paralyzing death that gradually crept over him and at last stilled his struggles forever. I took a deep breath. The first in minutes. The cat lay on her side on the floor, panting, resting from the fight just over. She had a right to rest. Oh, that brave, beautiful alley cat had just saved my life. And maybe others as well. But as I turned toward the stove, I suddenly became very humble, and I knew all at once what a small thing a human being really is. I and others aboard were still alive only by the merest accident. There were 3 reasons why that cat had fought and killed the world's deadliest snake. And those 3 reasons came tottering out from under the stove on shaky little legs. 3 kittens with their eyes bright with wonder and their tails stiff as pokers. Up on the decks, hundreds of passengers were waiting for the news that the terror was ended. Well, they could wait a little longer. I pulled open the doors of a cabinet and found a can of milk and a saucer. And then I dropped down on my knees.
Suspense, in which Jack Kelly starred in A Shipment of Mute Fate.
Suspense. These last hours of my life, I wonder, how will I be remembered? I think of what Engels said when Karl Marx died. With his death, mankind is shorter by a head. I wonder what will be said of me. It is through his books that Marx is remembered, while I've been a man of action, not of words. So will I be forgotten? Or worse still, will I be remembered only in the writings of bourgeois journalists who already have distorted my motives and minimized my importance in the revolutionary movement? Especially in regard to the action I undertook in St. Basil's Cathedral on the eve of the New Year. It is only Olga Karolska they write about, vastly exaggerating the role she played. Olga Karolska. Why, she was a political ignoramus, a victim of every bourgeois superstition. She was nothing, a zero, a puppet controlled by me. Olga believed that she was in love with me. I encouraged her in that illusion. She might prove valuable to me since she worked as a servant in the household of Prince Ogarev. On Sundays, when she was allowed a few hours for herself, she invariably came to spend the time with me in my room near the university.
Boris, it's nearly dark.
Oh, you're leaving? Make sure the door is latched. There is a draft up those stairs.
Is that all you have to say? No goodbye, nothing. You're like a stone.
I would prefer steel.
Sometimes I think I should stop coming here to see you.
Perhaps you should.
Boris, if I didn't come, what would you do?
Well, I would read the newspapers from Geneva a day earlier.
What if it was because I loved someone else?
Do you think I would be jealous?
You take me for granted. Just as Prince Ogarev took his wife for granted.
Now, have they quarreled again? Has she locked him out of the room again?
Worse, he's left him this time.
I thought she was only spending a few days at court.
Oh, it would be more than a few days. She's madly in love with the Tsar, and he with her. On Wednesday, she sent for her clothes and jewels and sent a letter to Prince Occurence. If only you could have seen his face when he read.
His valuable property stolen by the Tsar. Oh, what a dilemma. He can't even complain to the police.
No, Boris. He loves his wife.
Just as he loves his horses and his serfs. And
You wouldn't say that if you saw how he looked. Or if you heard him calling on God to bring her back to him, threatening to kill the Tsar.
When did he do that?
He was pacing up and down, muttering to himself. I overheard him. He really meant it. I'm sure of that.
What makes you think so?
Well, yesterday when I was dusting his study, he said some strange things to me. He talked about the Tsar's father, about how he'd been assassinated. He said he thought the terrorists who killed him were very brave men. I didn't answer, though he seemed to expect me to. I was afraid he'd heard that my uncle was one of the terrorists.
Of course, he was trying to make contact with our organization through you. Why didn't you speak up?
I was afraid. And besides, what good would it do?
That's not up to you. Now listen. This week, the first moment you are alone with the prince, tell him about your uncle and tell him you know someone he might like to meet.
Who?
A nihilist and a member of the executive committee. Me.
No, Boris. It could be dangerous for you.
Possibly, but without danger, the game grows cold. You understand? I want you to bring him here.
No, I won't.
Oh, what were you saying a few moments ago, Olga? That you should stop coming here to see me?
Oh, no, I didn't mean it.
Maybe you did. Because you aren't going to come here anymore, Olga, unless you bring Prince Occurence with you next Sunday. During the week, I began to devise a plan. A simple, daring plan which would mean glory for me and an end of tyranny in Russia. On Sunday, I waited impatiently. It was mid-afternoon before they arrived.
Boris, this is Prince Occurence.
How do you do?
How do you do?
Come in, Excellency. Olga, I think the prince would prefer to talk to me privately.
Yes, I suppose so.
May I come back a little later, Boris?
If you like. Come in, Excellency.
Thank you. Olga said that you wanted to meet me.
And to meet you, Prince Occurence, a man has only to express the wish to one of your servants. Come now, you are here because you wanted to meet me.
I assure you, I've never heard your name until...
There is no need to waste time. You are here because you and I desire the same end.
And?
We both want to kill the Tsar.
No.
You don't want to kill the Tsar? Then we have nothing to talk about.
Oh, no. I do want to kill him.
Excellent. Maybe we can join forces. But first, I would like to understand you better. For instance, why do you want to kill the Tsar?
For the same reason as you. For Russia. For the Russian people. To free them from his tyranny.
Ah, yes. And you have great love for the Russian people.
Of course.
And you have thought about this? You have a plan?
No, not really. You see, I thought that you...
I maybe have more experience.
Yes.
That's true enough. But still, you must have considered where and when, if not how, and by whom.
I only know it won't be easy. He's always heavily guarded.
Yes, our beloved Tsar, our little father, who fears his people so much he never lets them see him.
Because of what happened to his father. He has a terror of assassination.
And well, he should. Now, since you have come here without a plan, let me tell you mine. A plan to kill not only the Tsar, but his entire court. The cream of the aristocracy with one blow.
How?
In St. Basil's Cathedral, on the eve of the New Year.
Oh, no.
The cathedral is cleared for the midnight mass. No common people are allowed inside, only members of the court. I am told that the Tsar waits until the last moment and then enters the cathedral secretly through a private passage.
I tell you, it's not possible.
With 60 pounds of melanite strategically placed at 3 central pillars, we can bring down the cathedral dome. Not a soul will escape. But you don't seem to approve.
I hadn't thought.
What's killing so many? A few hundred aristocrats? Do they matter? Think of what you will be doing for the millions of Russian people whom you say you love. You think I don't? I doubt if you can, since you are not one of them. But actually, that's not important. Revolutions aren't born out of love, but out of hate. And you think I don't hate? Perhaps you do. I am told that your wife is an exceptionally beautiful woman. Then you knew. So that's your revolution, Prince Occurence, set off by jealousy? Haven't you ever lost someone you love? I have never loved and never will. Because I know that to love is to surrender. To hate is to continue the battle. Well, now, do we understand each other? Yes. Yes, we do. Then sit down. We have many things to discuss. It was then 2 weeks before the eve of the new year. Prince Occurence and I met several times again to complete our plans in my room, on the street, in the library of the university. Then I'll have to get the melanite? Yes, they won't question an aristocrat. But if they should ask you, say you need it for work on your estate in the country, to blast out stumps or to widen the channel of the spring television. The explosive cap. I won't need you for anything else, Prince Occurence, until the final night. And then? You and I will meet once more for the last time. Besides the prince, I needed 2 other confederates, a man and a woman. Naturally, I had already decided on Olga Karolska. And the following Sunday, I told her my plan.
No, Boris.
You aren't willing to take the risk?
Willing or not, I'll do whatever you say. But I beg you not the cathedral.
It won't be nearly as dangerous as you think.
I wouldn't care if it were the opera house or the palace, but if we destroy the cathedral...
You're afraid of the wrath of God? Well, I'll take full responsibility, and you will be absolved of all guilt.
No, I'm afraid for you. For your soul, not mine.
My soul? What is a soul? Olga Karolska, you come from a revolutionary family, yet you allow yourself to be drugged by this opiate of religion?
We don't know for sure. If there is a God...
If there is, my soul will be damned. But after this life in Russia, hell can't be any worse. Now I needed to find the right man. Someone passive like Olga. Someone in awe of me. A man who preferred to follow rather than to lead. A man such as Sergius Lem. Sergius was colorless and pliable, like a blob of wax, ready to be molded into any shape. He worked at the university as a tutor, and like all scholars in our enlightened society, he was ragged and half-starved. I looked him up, bought him a meal, and then while he was still warm with gratitude, I unfolded my plan.
And I'm to pretend I'm a merchant from Riga?
Yes. Now listen carefully. While I tell you again, step by step. I will bring you the clothes, not too elegant, not too shabby, and some second-hand suitcases. Then you will go to the house just opposite the cathedral and rent the apartment.
The front apartment facing the square?
Yes. You will say that you have just come from Riga on business.
And that my wife will join me in a few days?
Yes. Olga will be there in a week from today. The following night, I will come with the final instructions. When I went to the apartment Sergius had rented, it was 3 days before the new year. Olga and Sergius were waiting with all the equipment. The tubes of melanite, the wire, the metal hooks, the drill, the explosive caps, the electric key. Olga, playing the part of a merchant's wife, was wearing a new dress and cloak.
Do I look all right, Boris?
Take off those flowers. No real lady would wear them.
Oh. Now?
Yes, you'll do. Now listen carefully. The cathedral is nearly empty tonight. In a few minutes, Mass will begin. Olga, you will take the wire. Wind it under your cloak, around your waist. Sergius, you and I, we will take each 10 tubes of melanite. Both of you will go directly to the chapel at the right of the main altar. There is a curtained alcove where you can hide.
What about you?
I will have to come back here for the rest of the explosives. Then I will join you in the alcove. When everyone is left, we will make our preparations. It will take us about an hour.
And then we come back here?
No. The cathedral will be locked up. We will have to stay there until morning. Olga, why are you shivering? Are you cold?
I didn't know we'd have to stay there all night.
And does it matter? I intend to sleep. But if you like, you can spend the night praying for our success. No one paid any attention to us as we crossed the snow-covered square. There was no wind, and the air was filled with a raw, freezing mist. I think there's going to be another storm.
Yes. It will be snowing by morning.
Just as I hoped.
They've begun the Mass.
Yes, now remember, go directly to the chapel and pay no attention to me.
What?
Quickly, go in quickly. Olga, don't stand there staring.
Yes.
Go on.
Yes, I'm going. Oh, Boris, cross yourself. I beg you, cross yourself.
Fool, go on in.
Dear Heavenly Father, have mercy on us. For what we mean to do, have mercy on him. Have mercy on him.
Went unnoticed into the darkened chapel to the right of the main altar, while I went the opposite way to an icon on the east wall. There I hid the drill and the tubes of melanite in a recess behind the icon, then knelt for a few moments, pretending to pray. I laughed to myself, thinking how Olga had prayed to God for mercy. If God did exist, he would show us no mercy, for we were Russians. And all of Russia is under a curse. When I came back to the cathedral with the rest of the melanite, I too went to the chapel. Olga and Sergius were in the alcove behind the altar where the priest prepared the Eucharist, and I crowded in beside them.
How much longer?
Don't you hear?
I can't tell. I haven't gone to church for years.
I haven't since my mother died.
It's nearly over. The Mass ended. The people left by ones and twos. Then the priests and the acolytes. Finally, we were alone in the vast cathedral, lit only by flickering candles on the altar and under the icons.
Boris, I'm afraid.
Be quiet. We'll put 10 of the tubes under the seat next to the front pillar. That's where the Tsar will sit. Then 10 more opposite. And the last 10 near that pillar in the middle.
Is that what the hooks are for? To fasten the tubes under the seat?
That's right. That's your job. Huh? Olga, start unwinding the wire. Sergius, fasten the hooks. Yes. I will connect the explosive cap. When the melanite was all in place, with the explosive caps connected, we ran a wire under a row of seats, fastening it so that it could not be seen. At the end of the seat, a tapestry covered the wall. We ran the wire behind the tapestry up to a small window. Then I lifted Sturgis up to push the window open.
Open all the way.
That's enough. Do you have the wire?
Yes.
Good. Do you see that drain pipe outside?
Yes.
Can you reach it with the auger?
I think so, yes.
Drill a hole in the pipe. Then feed the wire into it, enough to reach the ground. When our work was done, we went back to the alcove and sat huddled together on the floor. After a time, I slept. I had no dream. Everything worked in our favor. In the morning, when we left the cathedral, it was snowing hard. We stayed in the apartment all day. That night, I watched from the window until the square was almost deserted. Then I went out, alone, to finish our work. Snow was still falling heavily, a soft, silent curtain of whiteness that blotted out my footprints and hid me from any passerby. I went to the drain pipe, reached up, and found the wire and pulled it out. I fastened the end to another coil of wire, which I unrolled across the square, methodically stamping it down into the snow. I then brought the end of the coil through the window of the apartment.
Is it done?
It's done. Tomorrow, just after midnight, Russia will be in our hands.
Until then?
You and Olga stay here. I'll be back tomorrow evening after a final meeting with Prince Occurence. Come in, Prince Occurence. Well?
The Tsar will attend the midnight mass with his ministers and the court.
You're quite sure?
Quite sure. Just now, when I came through the square, they were already putting up the ropes to keep back the crowd.
Yes, they will jam the square just to stare at a building where they know the Tsar is kneeling to pray. Well, we're going to show them how his prayers are going to be answered.
Yes.
What's wrong with you?
This is filthy work.
Revolutions aren't made with rose water?
No, I suppose not. At least my wife has gone to spend the new year at our estate in the country.
Good. Then you won't be distracted from the last thing you have to do. Now, we'll have no way of knowing when the Tsar enters the cathedral, since he won't face the crowd in the square. So Sergius Lem will wait outside, below the steps. When the Tsar arrives and the Mass has begun, come out and tell Sergius. He will bring the word to me. At 11 that night, Sergius left the apartment and made his way to the rope barrier below the cathedral steps. Olga and I waited together in the apartment. There was only one light, a single kerosene lamp standing near the gleaming electric key. Olga walked up and down, her shadow leaping on the wall. I stood at the window, looking out. They are lighting the bonfires.
Bonfires?
All around the square. I saw them piling up the wood this afternoon. What a crowd. They can scarcely get the sleighs through.
Boris, are you sure there's no other way?
To do what?
To free the people.
If I knew of another way, I would still choose this one.
I was afraid you'd say that. The sort of power has already changed you. In destroying this tyrant, you will become one yourself.
I am not a Tsar. I'm the son of a peasant, one of the people.
Not after tonight. If you do this, it will set you apart from everyone.
Olga, If you're trying to say you want to leave...
No, I'll stay. As long as you need me.
Look at them milling like cattle. Yes, cattle.
Boris, do you love me? You have never said it.
What?
I keep thinking, if I knew there was love between you and me, I wouldn't mind so much.
Women always talking about love.
And you can't see it.
Do I have to? Don't you know? Listen, the mass has started. But where is Prince Occurence?
Maybe the Tsar isn't there yet.
They wouldn't have started without him.
He may have decided not to come.
There is the prince now, coming down the steps. The fool. Can't he see Sergius?
He's not looking for Sergius. He's coming here.
The fool, I warned him not to. Someone will see him. Well, I don't have to wait for him. I know the Tsar must be there.
Boris, you don't know. Something may have gone wrong. Wait for Prince Occurence. A few more moments can't make any difference. He's halfway here.
Running like a madman. Doesn't he know that people are staring?
Boris, something must have happened.
Quickly, go let him in. Get him inside.
Excellency, this way.
Well?
My wife is in the cathedral.
The Tsar. What about the Tsar?
Yes, he's there. She came with him.
Then she lied about going to the country?
Yes, to save my feelings. She didn't want to hurt me.
But she did. And so history has been changed.
No, don't touch the key.
Boris, no.
You can't. You can do it now.
Because of your wife, you precipitate a revolution. Now, because of her, you want to bring it to a halt?
I'll kill the Tsar myself. I'll go back to the cathedral and kill him openly.
Even if you could, it is not enough.
Boris, be merciful.
Are they merciful? Ivan the Terrible, Peter, the Trumpet Catherine, for centuries they have strangled the people.
Not all of them.
Not my wife. You want me to turn back now to save one woman?
Love her.
Can the people eat your love? Will it put clothes on their backs?
Think if it was your wife.
I have no wife.
If it was someone you love.
I told you once, Prince Occurence, I can't afford the luxury of love.
Boris, if I were in the cathedral, what would you do?
I would press the key.
Oh.
You wouldn't.
There's no one I wouldn't sacrifice to destroy the tyrant who strangles the people. Olga, come back here.
She's going to tell the police.
No, she will only walk about in the snow, wringing her hands for a while. Then she will be coming crawling back here because she's weak, like you. Her will has been destroyed by love. So now...
No! Nothing happened. You pushed the key, and nothing happened.
Boris.
What have you done? What have you done?
I broke the wire. You will never find it in the snow.
You broke the...
No, put down the gun. She was right.
I did it for your sake, Boris. To save you from committing murder. To save your soul. You're sick, Boris. You're without love. With all my heart, I love and pity you.
Pity? Nietzsche once said, the fundamental fault of the female character is that it has no sense of justice. It was true of Olga Karolska when she put what she called above everything else. It was a glorious plan. It failed because of her. And now they are coming for me.
Boris Kriabin.
Yes. I'm ready.
Come with me.
Olga said she did it for me, to save me from murder. Didn't she know that she forced me to murder her? And she said she pitied me. What did she mean? Why should she pity me? No, I'm not ready to die yet. I can't die before I know what she meant.
Halt!
No. Olga, don't let them kill me. Not yet. Tell them there is so much I don't know. So much I have to learn. Tell them.
Ready? Olga! Aim! Olga! Fire!
Suspense. Listen again next week when we bring you another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.